Okay, we'll come back to you there in just a bit there. And what it looks like from a radar standpoint, definitely beginning to intensify. Look at that inflow. That is just into mutual. What does inflow mean? That's basically how this storm is breathing right now. It is ingesting this air, and so it gets pulled in. And so whenever you see that kink in the radar, that is pretty impressive. Wow, that storm has some large hail. That's got to have at least golf balls, ping pong the golf balls. Steve Carano is looking right into that storm right now. And so that's going to be for Morewood, definitely spinning there just west of Morewood here, where you see that blue and that green coming together. That is northeast of Strong City. That has an inflow notch in it as well. And so moving to the east at about 30 miles per hour, that is Morewood at 5:02. That's 15 minutes from now. Ray here at 5:19. And then we go down towards Aledo, Burma, Anthem, and Sunset. In that 5:30 to 5:40 time frame here, that storm is beginning to increase as well as it moves to the east. So there are a lot of storms here. We've been now with you for almost 2 hours since the very first radar echo popped up in Oklahoma. That was a storm that's tornado warned up where Derek is right now. So we're watching this one right now. Let's go out to Sky 5. Sky 5 is looking right into this cell here. That is going to be west of Morewood. Chase, what do you see up in the air?
Yeah, Damon, we were just talking about how structured this is. This is a classic supercell. You've got all of that rain to the right. You've got the wall cloud to the left. And if we zoom out and come to the left a little bit more, we've got that flanking line sticking out further to the west or to the south of this storm. We're going to keep a close eye on this one because that wall cloud has been dropping at times, but there is an immense amount of inflow into this storm. And this is the one that we're looking at. This is towards Morewood. This is the one that you're saying has a lot of structure to it, and it's really developing. We're going to watch this one closely, Damon.
All right, your picture coming in from Sky 5 is very easy to see here. That's your wall cloud. Let's go out to Michael Armstrong right now, field meteorologist. Michael Armstrong. Michael, what do you see?
Okay, this is going to be very near mutual, Damon. I got a bunch of dust that is being lifted. Now, I think some of this is due to outflow because we were getting those strong north winds. As a matter of fact, they're starting to pick up again. I'll go ahead and back up and let's go again. This is developing very rapidly, though. Kind of a dangerous situation developing around mutual. I would not be surprised if this storm comes out with a tornado warning here pretty soon based on what I'm starting to see. Kyle, you're clear.
Michael, what we see from radar, and by the way, let's keep Michael's picture up. Let's put the radar up because the inflow into the cell is becoming very well pronounced now, right over mutual. Michael is looking right into this. I mean, look, that right there, we're not that far off from our next tornado warning as well with that cell. So that storm begins to rotate here, moving up to the northeast. And anytime you see these notches on the radar, you know that this storm is definitely pulling in some strong inflow into it. That is what is basically allowing this storm to strengthen. And so that is a severe thunderstorm warning. We're probably not that far away, though, from this being, from this going up to a tornado warning. Speaking of which, let's get an update up in Woods County with Derek, and we also have Shane on as well. Just looking at their storms that we see. This storm for Winoka is moving to the east here. Right now, warning remains in effect. Basically, here's your rotation, very close to Winoka. Derek is right in this. Let's go out to Derek. Hey, Derek, what do you see with your storm headed towards Winoka?
Yeah, Damon, we are in Winoka right now. The rotation is still to the east, or to the west, I'm sorry. So it has not cleared town yet. So if you're in Winoka, you need to be careful. It does look like it is trying to organize in the center. We're trying to get a good view right now. So we're in a spot where I'm only getting like brief glimpses of it. And so I can't tell if it is really almost like trying to make a funnel type spin. So I'm really trying to get us into a spot where we can actually see what's happening. But if you're in Winoka, you need to be taking this very serious right now because this is, again, it's been intensifying all evening long. It doesn't look like it's really spinning. There's definitely some fingers hanging out from under this wall cloud, though. And again, it's just west of Winoka right now. It's either going to come right over town or just to the north side of town, but it's going to be really, really close. And again, it could produce a tornado at any moment. So we're here in Winoka. We're watching it. We'll let you know what we see. Back to you.
Okay, Derek, your picture's coming in. We can see. Let's go out to Shane Helton right now. Shane, what do you see from your vantage point on the storm?
Damon, we're parked in Avard right now. We're watching this storm as it moves towards our area. we're probably going to move off to the east a little bit farther towards Alva, Tacoma area, Hopeton area, to keep an eye on this storm so we can get a better view on it, because we're still on the northeast quarter of it. But we can see that rain-free base there on the southeast side of that storm, or southern side of that storm. So we're keeping a real close eye on it, just like everybody else is. We're just a little bit ahead of it, waiting for it to come up this direction. Damon, back to you.
All right, Shane, we'll be talking to you a lot in the next little bit here. Okay, let's go back over to the radar. Once again, this storm, tornado warning. It's the only tornado warning we have right now. Still rotating west of Winoka, 5 o'clock Winoka, Tacoma, 5:39, Carmen at 5:49. Looks like the storm it's moving northeast and maybe trying to move just a little bit more to the east, headed straight towards Winoka. So we're going to be watching this Winoka. It's going to be close. It is going to be close. Sky 5 definitely has a very well-pronounced lowering coming in as well with these storms that are going to be out across western Oklahoma. You can see right now we're all lined up from Elk City up towards Avard here. Sky 5 is looking at this storm right here, big hail in between Leedy and Moorwood. Steve Carano watching this storm. This is going to be dropping, I believe, about ping pong ball to, no, I believe this is now 2-inch size hail. That's going to be lime size hail. So now we're going outside of bigger than golf balls with this storm moving to the east. Sky 5 has a very well-pronounced lowering. Let's go out to Chase Rutledge right now in Sky 5. Chase, how's it look from the air?
Yeah, Damon, we're zooming in just a little bit just to see if we can see any rotation. We don't see any defined rotation just yet, but it is getting lower and lower to the ground. This is probably the lowest that we've seen it. At one point, we had 2 areas of a lowering that started getting lower to the ground. We kept an eye on that. This is getting lower and lower, but you can see all of that rain to the right, and this is really developing. We're going to keep. We're definitely watching this one, Damon, because this could happen at any moment.
And you're spot on there. And so from a storm track perspective, I would say start pulling track to this a little bit more to the east, a little bit more to the east here. It's probably going to take the southern flank with the strengthening portion of the storm as it begins to turn more to the right. Let's go out to Steve Carano. Steve, you have a very well-pronounced view of this storm. Steve, what do you see from your vantage point?
All right, Damon, this is the same view that Sky 5 has. He's just to my north and east. I am going to be east of Strong City, just northwest of Hammond, and that's looking towards Leedy, and that has been rising scud motion right there on that part of the storm, which is just to the southwest of Leedy, just to the west of Leedy, and that has increased, and it has continued to increase. Scud is rising up into that area, which is in the sweet spot. And that's the same area that, like I said, Sky 5 is watching. We'll watch it here close.
All right, Stephen, we can hear the sirens here sounding in the background here. Let's go back out to Sky 5 just from a visual standpoint, because the way that the light is hitting it really puts into perspective exactly what Steve and Chase are seeing here. You can see this thing is rotating right now as it's moving up to the northeast here. Real concerned about this, and I would say with this moving more to the right in the next couple of minutes here, I'd say in the next 30 minutes, this storm is going to strengthen as it continues to move to the east, and so that is what our storm track has here. Okay, let's go out to Mutual. That's where we have Michael Armstrong right now. Tornado warning coming for this cell. Michael, tornado warning, there it is. Let's go out to Michael right now. Michael, what do you see?
Okay, Damon, right now what we're seeing is there is an extremely low area. I think it may be trying to wrap up embedded in rain just northeast of Mutual is where I'm starting to see the center of rotation. There's also a more broad area of rotation back near Cessus, just to the north of it. So if you look back here in this area, that's more of the wider rain-free base. Here's the core of the storm, just to the east of 270, and there's all of the rotation that's embedded in that. I got to tell you, I don't really see a real focused area right now for a tornado at this particular moment, but it does not surprise me based on the amount of wind that was coming out of that storm that I showed you and that dust that was spinning on the ground with even some of the outflow that was coming out of it just a little bit ago. It's a very, very intense storm right now.
It is a very intense storm, and so this is our second tornado warning that we now have, and this is moving to the east. It's that eastward track that we have here that shows this storm is going to be strengthening as well. So that's headed towards, Orion here at 525, Cheyenne Valley at 538, Cedar Springs and Fairview at about 5:45, and this could be this area right here, just west of Cedardale. So we'll call this the mutual storm. Now, mutual, I know you are technically in the warning, although the storm is pulled away from mutual, so this storm is moving away from town. So this is a tornado warning that we have right here, southwest of Cedardale. We'll come back to this in a second. Let's go up to Winoka, and get an update on that tornado warning that we have Shane and Derek on right now, very close to Winoka and up towards Avard here. And so this is moving to the east-northeast here at about 45 miles per hour. Or I'm sorry, about 30 miles per hour. And so that would bring it into Tacoma at 5:41 and Carmen at 5:53. You can definitely see that storm is still spinning just north of Winoka. Let's go out to Derek right now. Derek, how's the storm look from your perspective?
Yeah, Damon, I mean, it continues to just pulse up and down. It has not produced a tornado yet. In fact, we're actually right underneath the wall cloud. It is on the northeast side of Winoka. So it is past the majority, but there's still a lot of farmhouses out here. I'm seeing quite a bit of population still here just on the north and east side of Winoka, and it is right over the top of you. And it can literally produce a tornado at any second. So you definitely need to be taking precaution here. The tornado sirens are going off in Winoka, and we just continue to pace with this storm and watch it. Again, I haven't seen a tornado yet, but we've seen some rapid lifting underneath the wall cloud. And we've seen a lot of things that say this storm could produce a tornado at any time. It just hasn't done so yet, thankfully. And so we continue to watch it here. We're going to let you know if it does anything. But as of right now, no tornado here in Winoka, but very, very close. Back to you.
Okay, we'll continue to keep in touch with both Derek and Shane. Let's put the radar back up here, tracking this cell to the east. And so big hail core inside of it, by the way, that's going to fall just on the north side, maybe about a mile outside of Winoka here. So Tacoma, 541, McWillie, 609, Cherokee to Helena, 612 to 620, and then Jet here at 632 with that storm moving to the east. Let's get an update. Brand new tornado warning. Once again, our newest tornado warning technically does include far southeastern Woodward County and comes just north of Sealing. This is moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. That is a strong moving storm here. We'll go out to Michael, and then we'll talk to Sky 5 next. Michael, tornado warning for your storm here. What do you see?
Well, right now, Damon, it has a huge lowered area, no doubt. But what we're seeing right now is that there's still a lot of outflow coming out from underneath the storm at this particular moment. It looks like it's going to be tucked back up in the rain. So this is going to be just east and northeast of Highway 270, which is good because there's still a lot of traffic, a lot of people driving up and down Highway 270. Back to the west, I still see another developing wall cloud on a different storm as well. So very chaotic scene up here right now, just to the north and west of Sealing.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And you're right there, Michael. That would be wrapped up in rain with that tornado warning. That is moving to the east. So let's go back to the radar here. We'll put we'll show you exactly where the storm is going to be rotating. And once again, up inside of rain, new circulation. Yeah, easy to see right here with the inflow coming in. That is south of Cedardale. So Sealing, this is north of you, Chester to Cheyenne Valley. Watching this storm moving to the east pretty quickly too, by the way, about 45 miles per hour. So Cheyenne Valley at 531, Fairview at 544, Orienta 545, and then Clio Springs at 549. Let's go out to Sky 5 if we can here. We'll go back down. Let's go down on the southern storms here where we have Sky 5. And so Sky 5 watching these cells. This storm is getting pretty intense as well. You see that V notch right here? That is going to indicate a strengthening storm. Jonathan highlighted this earlier, called this a screaming eagle. Basically what you see right here, see that notch? It looks like a V. That's an indication that the storm is strengthening. And look at this picture coming in from Sky 5 right now. I mean, when you see this right here, that is a well-pronounced kind of appendage that is dropping out of this cloud. Not on the ground, and it's still severe thunderstorm warned, but it's getting there. As you can see right here, this coming in from Sky 5, who is going to be up near Hammond. So we have Chase watching this up in the air. We have Steve Carano on the ground looking at it as well. Let's check in with Steve if we can. Steve, how's your storm look from what you see here?
Damon, it is to the right over Leedy right now. The core is. Now, I'm coming on the south side of it, and you can see on my shot here, you can see that appendage that everyone's talking about there, too, on the right. That is an area of concern, but over here to the left is also an area of concern. So I don't know if that's going to wind on up to the right, and this is going to take over. But no matter what, Sky 5 is here. I am here. I am moving just south of Leedy, coming up Highway 34 right now.
And what we see from at least looking at the winds, I mean, Steve, you and Sky 5 are looking right at the rotating couple here. Let's go back over to the radar. It's the red and the green right there. And so there's your couplet headed towards Rhea and making its way up towards the northeast. Hail in between, very close to Leedy. So this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:15. It's about another 15 minutes. But this storm is getting its act together as well, making its way up towards Tologa at 5:48 and sealing at 6 o'clock. If it becomes tornado warned, then we'll begin to shift this a little bit more to the east here. We'll begin to look down towards, say, Aledo and looking towards Putnam. Again, Putnam, you're not in the warning yet, but I feel like Putnam, you're probably not that far away from being highlighted in this polygon. And so it continues to rotate here as it's making its way southeast of Leedy towards Rhea. So once again, 2 tornado warnings continue with these storms really moving up to the northeast here. So like I said, I don't think we're that far away from this being tornado warned. So as of right now, we're getting to that step and that stage in the afternoon where the severe thunderstorm warnings are now beginning to turn into tornado warnings. And so let's go back up. Let's go up towards Winoka and get an update on what we're seeing in Winoka with this storm that is now lifting northeast of town towards Avard here. Rotation still continues just in between Winoka and Avard. At this moment, though, Winoka, this may just, it looks like this is passing just north and northeast of you, headed towards Hopeton at 5:26, Tacoma at 5:41. That cell eventually will make its way towards Cherokee and eventually towards Jet and Great Salt Plains Lake. Once again, tornado warning with this cell, and this warning goes for another 10 minutes with this. Let's go out to Shane Helton. Shane's watching this storm closely. Shane, what do you see?
Damon, we're watching this very, very closely as we see a rotating wall cloud here. It has scud clouds that are formed around it, and they are pulling up into it, just like what Derek was talking about a little while ago, how the scud pulls up into the clouds, and once it attaches to the wall clouds, it pulls it down just a little bit lower. Every once in a while, we see what looks like a funnel. However, we have not seen a tornado yet or anything like that, so we are watching extremely closely. But we're looking at the outside edges of this wall cloud, looking at the outside edges of the storm. You can tell it is definitely rotating from where we're parked at right here. We're keeping an eye on it. Damon, back to you.
All right, and we know that you certainly are watching this closely out across Woods County. Let's go. Let's see. Here's the area down by Avard that we were just referring to. Let's go get an update on this tornado warning that we have. Let's see what right here. Wow, look at that inflow, very close to Cedardale. That right there is continuing to look more well-defined, moving to the east here. And so let's see. There's your circulation, very close to Cedardale. Let's go out to Michael right now. Michael, what do you see?
David, we're watching this area that continues to wrap up. I think that it's probably a tornado imminent right now on the north side of that rain curtain. So it's going to be tucked in just to the north of us. We are going to move north up toward Chester and hope the storm in transition back from where he's at, back down onto this storm. This is going to be lifting up eventually toward Carmen. So it is going to move south of Bouse Junction in between Chester. It's going to be passing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miles straight north of Chester will be the center of rotation. It does have some of the strongest rotation that I've seen yet today. I wouldn't say that it's real high-end, what we call gate-to-gate velocity yet, but it is very, very tight rotation, and it's tucked back into the Hook Echo, very close to where the hail shaft is, a few miles northwest of Chester. That storm is lifting the northeast.
Michael, what we're watching here, and these storms are now entering into our high-risk zone that that the Storm Prediction Center issued early this morning. And so as these storms continue to move to the east, the amount of low-level flow into this will increase, especially as we approach sunset, which is in the next 2 hours. And the jet stream really begins to increase as well. So these storms first formed in the marginal risk area. Now they're moving into the higher risk area, the high risk, and all of these are now moving into where we have our PDS tornado watch. Well, they've been in there, but PDS tornado watch remains in effect until 8:15. Let's go out to Sky 5, by the way. Watching this view here coming in from Sky 5 and just that lowering and that rotation. Sky 5, by the way, is looking at this cell right here down by Leedy. Let's go out to Sky 5 right now. Chase, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, this wall cloud is enormous. I mean, we're looking at the far north part of this wall cloud. This is where it is the lowest. Not seeing much rotation in this. We have seen at times some more rapid rotation. If we move to the left, you'll see what we're talking about as far as how much of this wall cloud is lowering. We're seeing some areas right there on the left of your screen where that's rotating a little bit more. It's not getting very organized or tighter, but we're looking back to the west towards Leedy like you were talking about. But this wall cloud has had seen a lot of activity over the past few minutes, and we're going to stay right here and watch it closely, Damon.
Yeah, we are watching it closely as well. So tornado warning continues for Alfalfa, Major, Woods, and Woodward County. So the storms, basically we have two warnings right now, but this one is really becoming the dominant one. And this one, you can see the direction of the polygon. It is moving to the east here. So Cheyenne Valley, down towards Cedar Springs, east of Cedardale, it's rotating right over 281. Right now, I mean, Storm Command is looking at it. It's gonna be tucked up in there, but that's gonna be your tornado right there. This warning goes until 5:45, and so Michael is watching this from the south. Derek and Shane are watching the tornado warning up to the north, and then we have Steve, we have Chris, and we have Nick watching the storms down to the south here on the southern flank. So bottom line, storms are going up. Peak heating of the day. These storms are tapping into an incredible amount of instability that is much higher than what we even saw last weekend when we had the moderate risk here. So here's your inflow right into the cell here. And this storm is moving to the east pretty quickly too, by the way. At Cheyenne Valley at 5:39, Orienta at 6, Fairview at 6, Clio Springs at 6:05. We're as of right now, we're getting into on the backside of this polygon here, but this storm means business as it continues to move to the east here. So we have all of these storms surrounded right now, and basically just watching them move into a very unstable atmosphere for the OKC Metro. Right now, we're doing okay. Things are going to change, though, as we get into that 7, 8, 9 o'clock window here as the storms begin to move in. This northern storm is still rotating. It's moving more up to the northeast. Still tornado warned, rightfully so. It doesn't look nearly as strong as the southern cell. The southern cell definitely. So we have Shane watching these. We have this. Let's see here. Steve Carano. Let's go out to Steve right now down by Ray in Leedy. Steve, what do you see with this storm?
Okay, I'm on the just south of Leedy, about to make the turn on 47. And, Damon, I think this wraparound rain here, that couplet has really tightened east of me. I can see now a well-defined couplet here on radar, and I can't see it because I'm in the rain, but I will be coming up on it very, very soon. Jonathan could probably point it out. It is really tightened up south and east of Leedy, right on Highway 47.
And by the way, Steve, that tightening up on the radar, we can see it, by the way. I mean, you can see the inflow notch coming. It's right here. See that right there? This is really starting to, oh, there it is. Yep, southeast of Leedy. Steve Carano looking right into it, and spot on with his reporting right there. Sky 5 is looking right into it as well. Let's go out to Chase Rutledge. Chase, what do you see up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that we're all talking about, and this lowering is getting, we're seeing a lot of activity as far as lightning goes. I know the sky's a little green just to the north of this, so we're seeing some of that. We're not seeing any hail out here, yes, but I know there's a lot of hail in there. But this continues to rotate. It's not rotating very fast, but we're going to keep watching it because if it does rotate, we'll keep an eye on the ground and see if it starts kicking up in anything, Damon. But this could very easily produce something soon.
It certainly could. And what we see between now and about 10 o'clock or so will be a bunch of rotating storms north of I-40 moving into the high-risk zone. South of I-40, I expect that things are going to take off here in just a little bit as well. But right now, watching the southern flank here. So Nick is watching these storms up to the north. There's Chris Lee by Elk City, and then watching these storms that are going to be northwest of Custer City. For at least the short term, all of our storms are going to be north of I-40, but they're not going to stay that way because as we approach sunset, we're going to begin to watch a bunch of these storms begin to develop and move south of I-40 and to the east here. So for the time being, again, watching north of I-40, this storm is really having a well-pronounced influence. Look at that. I mean, that right there is going to be wrapped up in rain. Let's go out to Michael, by the way. Michael's available. Why don't I get an update from Michael? Michael, your storm looks really dangerous just north of Chester. What do you see, Michael?
Agreed. This is a very dangerous storm in between Bass Junction and Chester. So that's going to be the intersection of 412. And also, let's see, that's going to be coming up north out of Chester. That's going to be 281. And that is lifting the northeast. The next town that I can see on my radar view in Storm Command is Carmen, unless it turns right. Carmen and Aileen, if it turns right, which actually the warning, they've already anticipated that the storm is going to be turning right. I still see it kind of moving more northeast or east-northeast. But if it does turn right, it will move to Fairview. So Fairview's in the tornado warning right now. It will have to kind of basically make a pretty sharp turn right now to come over Fairview, which it could do. It could do that, Damon, but it is definitely very intense, and you can see the lowering there on the front edge. Like you're saying, it's going to be tucked back up in the rain where the lowered area is. We're trying to maneuver around it based on the road network here. It's pretty tough, but we're going to try to get a view of this back up to as we get further east, we'll be able to look back on the north side into that rain. There's a tornado in there, but certainly quite a bit of rotation right now just to the north of Chester.
And so what Michael is mentioning there is that this storm right now is still moving up to the northeast, but you can see here the polygon is drawn to the east, which means if it begins to turn to the east, that would be a strengthening storm. And so for Fairview, watching that one closely. Let's go out to Steve Carana right now. Steve is going to be down on this lead he sells. Steve, what do you see?
Yeah, that is one heck of a hail cord there, Damon. I had a hail bow with it just a few minutes ago. I don't know if it's going to reform, but it's right there to the left of the road. And the circulation is going to be right down the middle of the road here, or just to the left of the road. I'm coming on the back side of it, moving towards Putnam on Highway 47, just due east of Leedy, southeast of Leedy.
Yeah, and Steve, that picture that you're showing us, I mean, that is crystal clear. All of that white that you saw there, I mean, that is a bunch of ice that is falling out of the storm. And this is an intense storm. And I know I've been saying this a lot, but I'll say it again, is that the tornado risk continues to ramp up. You know, the tornado threat that we have right now is already climbing, but it's going to be even higher in the next 30 minutes, and it'll continue to get higher and higher and higher. So these storms are getting there. They are absolutely getting there. By the way, this is the storm that Chase is on, the same one that Steve is looking at as well. Ton of lightning, a bunch of electricity inside of this cell as it continues to move to the east here. We'll come back to this in just a second. Let's. What do you see, Jonathan? Okay.
They're going to probably, I'd imagine, have to issue a new warning on this storm. The warning just dropped. Probably need to get a new one on there because I see radar indicated 2-inch hail with this storm. So I'm sure they're probably, National Weather Service is probably typing it up, and but watching it really, really close. We're going to have to bounce back and forth. Let's go up to Michael.
Yeah, let's check in with Michael. Michael, how this storm looks like is, you say this tornado is imminent in this cell? Okay, we'll get Michael back on here in just a moment. Again, rural Oklahoma, sometimes your cell connection is hit and miss. The picture is perfect, though. We'll come back to this cell. Let's go check in, by the way, on our northern storm. Let's see, it looks like, did they drop the tornado warning on this one that Derek and Shane are on? It does appear they replaced it with a severe. So for Alva, severe thunderstorm warning, still has a hook in it, east of Avard near Hopeton. That is moving up to the northeast. And so tornado warning at least dropped for the time being with that storm, headed towards Cherokee at 5:55 and Burlington at 6 o'clock. Okay, let's go back down to the tornado warning. Right now we have one tornado warning in the state. It is currently 5:16 on this Monday here. Look at that inflow that's rushing into the storm. We're southeast of Bowles Junction here. This is going to be near Fairview and Orienta, but that storm moving to the east. And so this is our only tornado warning that we have right now, but it is a strong one, and it's continuing to strengthen, headed towards Orienta at 6:03, Cleo Springs at 6:08. And so we're going to watch this one move to the east. This tornado warning continues for another 30 minutes. As it continues to make its way towards the east here. So just a couple things to pass along is that there are some areas that the risk is basically wrapping up. And so as a dry line moves through here, there are going to be some areas that are going to be taken out of the tornado watch here in any second now. So you're getting removed from the tornado watch. If you are going to be in Harper and Ellis County, you are now out of the tornado watch as a dry line has surged to the east. But for the rest of us, if you're anywhere from, say, Enid, Ponca City, Oklahoma City, you're not even close. You're not even close as these storms continue to move to the east here, strengthening as well. Look at that inflow coming in right now west of Putnam. Again, west of Putnam, east of Leedy. Big hail too, by the way, southeast of Camargo with this storm moving to the east. We have all the eyes on this, up in the air, on the ground. There's Steve, there's Sky 5. We have Nick down to the south. There's Buck watching the storm as well. And so this storm continues to move to the east. And so well-pronounced inflow into the storm. And this picture that you see on the left-hand side of your television screen is showing exactly what the radar is indicating. Seeing a bunch of little lowered areas, well-pronounced inflow coming in right now just near Ray. And so this moves into Oakwood at 5:58, Eagle City 6:08, Canton at 6:11, and then the lake there at 6:13. So we'll continue to watch this one. Is Michael available? Let me go back up to this tornado warning because I know Michael's right on it. And so still finding, let's see here, well-pronounced inflow into this. Oh, that's tightening up. That's tightening up right there just west of Cheyenne Valley. Michael, from a radar perspective, your storm is tightening up. What do you see?
I agree. This is a nasty, nasty looking lowering to the north. Oh, man, northeast of Chester. Damon, this is going to be approaching Highway 15. Let's see, what else? Also, they're right between Orienta, so along 412 there, just to the south and east of Bowles Junction. Man, this is a powerful looking cell. I will say this. I think a new wall cloud began to form and is wrapping around it, so it may be going through a recycling stage. I'm not 100% convinced the original circulation tornado, even though I'm seeing some very strong inflow. Those are the outbounds coming out of Vance straight into the mesocyclone, but I think a new one may be forming. And so this is going to continue to be a threat as it moves up toward Aileen and Carmen. I did just see a critical message coming from the National Weather Service that as these storms encounter even better moisture across Grant and Garfield and Kingfisher County, the risk will go up even higher.
It certainly will, and especially as we get into that sunset time frame here. So we're just getting started. It's going to be a late night, and I'm hoping that, we can get through this okay, but knowing the dynamics, time of the year, storm system like this, everything says, look, this is a higher end day, and so these storms are moving in to the high risk area as they continue to pull away from western Oklahoma. If you've looked at the risk maps at all throughout the day, the risk really picked up as you started to pull away from about your 2 rows of counties here out of western Oklahoma, and so now moving up to the east here and into the east into an environment that is much more favorable for severe weather to just take off here. So as you heard Michael mention, a critical message coming in from the National Weather Service about these storms, and it is rotating here. Jonathan, what radar is this right here? Is this TLX?
That's TLX, but Damon, this storm is now to 51,000 feet tall. So a lot of times that's an indication of what the updraft can do. This is a potent supercell. really ramping up. Michael's right there. We've got to watch it very closely. The low-level winds at the surface are actually increasing in velocity. Maybe that's a sign that the low-level jet with the jet stream is ramping up. So again, these storms are going to move into an environment which is more conducive for tornado genesis. I think we're just right on the edge, up to this point, and these storms were cycling, and they had wall clouds, and they had, decent circulations on them. The longer we go throughout the evening, the more intense the circulation will get. For example, the storm down the south has a pretty significant hook on it, and if you look at Sky 5, a little bit of a lowering on the left-hand side. You can see that in your middle stream on the left-hand side, a little bit of a truncated lowering right there. We're going to have to watch that. But on radar, Sky 5 and Steve Carano's storm is looking like it has even better inflow to it. Like 1 minute ago, it looked disorganized, but now it's looking a lot more organized. And there's that new severe thunderstorm warning that was just plotted for that cell.
Okay, so brand new warning. So just a kind of a heads up for a lot of us that have been watching this coverage and you've been paying attention to the messaging that we've been pushing out over the last couple of days, is that these storms, as they moved into central Oklahoma towards sunset, we're going to take off. Very similar to what we saw last Saturday, where we had these severe storms. They were kind of bouncing around different parts of the state, but there was a portion of the state that really saw a much higher threat. And for that today, last week it was south and east of I-44. For today, it's going to be central Oklahoma. This is a high risk that the Storm Prediction Center pushed out early this morning. And so as these storms move to the east, there is a feature called low-level jet stream that really takes off, and that is going to really increase the threat here. So these storms are still in a section of the state where our tornado threat was just a little bit lower than central Oklahoma. And so right now, these storms are behaving the way that we've expected them to, where they've gone up, they're moving to the east here. They're all warned, either severe or tornado warned. But in a couple of hours, and probably less than 2 hours, these storms are going to be closer to I-35, are going to really have some significant threats. And so if you're in Enid right now, Enid, I know you're looking into the western sky, you can see these storms. They are moving to the east here, and this storm is rotating. And so we have Derek and Michael watching these storms right now. Let's check in with Michael if he's available, because this storm is dropping some big hail right now that is going to be just west of Orienta. Michael, your storm continues to strengthen, continues to move into a part of the state where we're now entering into the high risk. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Well, look at the structure of the storm, Damon. I've got to give a little bit of distance here because of the network. Let me zoom out. I mean, this is a absolutely titanic supercell thunderstorm. I mean, it has striations wrapped around it. It looks like an upside-down wedding cake, and you're getting glimpses of the structure through the trees there. That's why. Look at the wall. Look at that. There's 3 tiers on it. That is incredible right now, and you see a tail cloud streaming right into the side of the wall cloud right there as well. No wonder this thing has a tornado warning on it. You can see that there's a lot of rain underneath the wall cloud, so it may not be very visible as far as being able to see a tornado with it right now. But I will tell you what, anybody in the path of this storm must take it seriously.
And certainly we see that from a radar standpoint, Michael. We can see that spin that is occurring inside the storm. And just look at it, as Michael mentioned, the plates is basically where you see those lines in the clouds. And so this is a big storm. This is the strongest storm in the state right now that is going to be west of Orienta. And so moving to the east, and given at least how these storms are kind of spaced out right now, these storms may remain isolated, which is not good, by the way, because that means you're talking about isolated supercells in a tornadic environment. I mean, that basically will just pick up the tornado threat here. So still watching the inflow coming in towards Cheyenne Valley at 5:35, Orienta at 6, Cleo Springs at 6:04, Lahoma 6:51, and then we start getting into the Enid area. Right around 7:15 or so, Enid, you have almost 2 hours, just a little less than 10 minutes, or a little less than 2 hours, I should say, about 1 hour and 50 minutes before this storm will be moving to the east here. It is a very strong storm, continues to look impressive on radar. Jonathan, what do you see from a radar standpoint?
Well, we're getting a report right now about 5 miles south of Bouse Junction on 281. Train spotter measured a wind gust of 82 miles an hour. So not only do you have the threat of large hail and a tornado risk, on the backhand side of the storm, you have what's called a rear flank downdraft. So these storms are explosive. They go up. When the updraft hits the top of the atmosphere, the rain has to go one way or the other. So on the forward flank, that goes forward, and on the backside, that air is dry and it comes wrapping down around the backside, and that's what you can actually see the striations on the backside of the storm too. But I think that was like a roof flank downdraft, and so you might have some hail, large hail, 82-mile-per-hour winds coming in sideways can do some very significant storm damage. So that's like, triple threat there, Damon.
It certainly is, and we're getting these strong wind reports coming in right now. Alva, by the way, just had a 61-mile-per-hour wind gust as well. So definitely some pretty powerful winds that are going to be inside these storms that are moving to the east here. So this messaging, again, for Enid, this is the storm that we're watching closely for you as it continues to move to the east. There's Derek, there's Storm Command. We have Shane Helton on the northern cell. All of these storms are moving to the east into a very favorable environment. And once again, Enid, right now it's about 5:30. You have about a little less than 2 hours. Let's go back out to Michael. Michael, what do you see?
Damon, I have seen a funnel within the last 30 seconds. That's a look at the wall cloud now on the other side of the rain. I know you've been seeing a different shot from me. I've been looking through that rain on the south side of it, but now you can see the wall cloud tucked back up in there, and actually there's a pretty good lowering, right? Look at that. Pretty substantial lowered area, even from the wall cloud, that appendage coming down. So, again, we talked about how a tornado is imminent with this storm. It looks like it's kind of cleared out on the front end, so it's probably getting some pretty clean inflow into the base of that storm. So, again, I think even though the tornado warning includes Fairview, unless it turns east-southeast, based on my location, it is going to pass north of Fairview. And I think that we can probably tighten that up a little bit. If I lived in Orienta or Clio Springs, I would be nervous about this storm.
Well, and Michael, we know that you, Derek, and our entire team out here really helping to let people know what's headed in their direction. And so this storm continues to be kind of pulling away a bit from this line here. And so up inside of that, and so Enid, again, you don't have to go into your tornado shelter. You're not in a warning yet, but I would be prepared, Enid, within the next 30 to 45 minutes for a new warning to come out, maybe even less than that. That would include Enid, and you're going to hear the sirens coming off. So, Enid, we are watching this storm. Our entire team is watching this storm closely for you as it continues to move to the east here. Let's see here. Shane is going to be up on the northern cell, still showing a bit of a hook in here, just southwest of, let's see here, just east of Alva. Let's go out to Shane right now. Shane, how's the storm look from your vantage point?
Damon, this thing really almost died, and then all of a sudden it just wrapped up really quickly, and it just almost produced a tornado. And then it kind of started to die off again, and now it's starting to come back together a little bit. It's definitely cycling for sure, but it has a high base right now. If the scud clouds will start forming again, it'll start pulling up into this underside where this updraft is at, we will probably get some more funnels or something like that. Right now it's not making any funnels that you can really see. However, I will say it still has some pretty good rotation in it. So we are still keeping an eye on it and chasing this thing as far east as we can and northeast as we can go with it. But until it actually does something, we'll just kind of stay back here in the back and kind of let you know what's going on and let Sabrina know what's going on until something happens. Eamon, back to you.
And just in the last couple of scans here, definitely, the storm has definitely picked up. I don't think this is done yet, being tornado warned at all. So just a heads up, Shane, I know it's a severe thunderstorm warning. We may not be that far away here from this storm becoming tornado warned once again as it moves up into northern Oklahoma. Let's go down to Sky 5. Let's go to Sky 5 right now and get an update on what Sky 5 is looking at here, because this is our southern storm. And so this can be one that's going to be right here, northwest of Putnam, well-defined inflow into this cell. So let's go out to Chase right now. Chase, your storm continues to rotate, moving to the east. Chase, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon. We're seeing some areas like this. This is again a little bit further to the north. If we zoom out a little bit and kind of take a look at the entire wall cloud, we're seeing areas that continue to lower. So there's still a lot of activity in this thing. This is really starting to rock. I tell you what. We're going to watch this. If you move to the left just a little bit more, we can see this lowering right here. This one got really close to the ground just a little while ago. I know you've been watching our shot there on the left side of your screen, but take a look at this lowering right here. This one was really starting to rotate a little bit earlier, but right now it's come up just a little bit. Still seeing a lot of lightning in this cloud. Looking up to the north, seeing some of that those layerings that Michael Armstrong was talking about, and seeing a lot of that hail. If we continue right, you can see how green the skies are right there, just to the north of. Again, this is to the north and east of Leedy. And you can see a lot of structure in this storm. This also is a huge storm that we're going to keep a close eye on, Damon.
Absolutely, and I want to hit a message as hard as I can right now, and I don't just throw this out all the time. But if you're watching right now in central Oklahoma, so far the storms have been north, but I really want you to understand the threat that will be increasing as we go into the next couple of hours. This is not a day where we use this terminology lightly. These days are very much concerning to us. We understand that, look, we live through these storms just like you do. And so what we see with the data coming in right now, and as these storms are moving into central Oklahoma, these storms are only going to increase. And so for the next couple of hours, right now we've been looking north of I-40, but these storms will begin to develop south of I-40. So threat still continues. This is an absolute important afternoon to have all the means necessary to receive multiple warnings. I'm telling you right now, we're not going anywhere. We're staying with you on these storms. So this is the cell right here that Steve, Sky 5 looking into, moving to the east. And so we have Sky 5, we have Steve, we have Buck, we have Nick on the southern flank. Let's check in with Steve Carana right now. Steve, this storm continues to ramp up here. What do you see from your vantage point?
Okay, Damon, I am south of Putnam, headed towards Thomas, just because the roads up here are not very good. And if this thing turns right, it's going to be very, very close to Putnam. And if it continues to turn right, it's going to go between Thomas and Oakwood. I'm on my way to Thomas. You can see my shot right there. This is the same storm that Chase is on, Sky 5. All right, so we're going to be getting out ahead of it so that when it crosses in front of us towards Oakwood and Thomas, we'll be right there. But we're south out of Putnam right now, and you can see my shot. We're watching it very, very closely. And, of course, Chase has got it up in the air.
Yeah, he definitely is, and he's looking at this up in the air as well, and so giving us a perspective. And so at least for the next little bit, Grant, Garfield, and Kingfisher County, we're watching this one real closely for you as this storm continues to move to the east. That's for the short term. For the OKC Metro, after 8 o'clock is when these storms are going to be moving in, but that is when the sun will be setting and the low-level winds will be taking off. So we continue to watch this storm that is severe warned near Putnam. Okay, let's go back up to the tornado warning that we have here. And so this storm is what we're watching closely for you in Enid. You can definitely see it is still influenced right over Cheyenne Valley. So this tornado warning goes for another 10 minutes. We're probably not that far off from this storm extending, a new tornado warning that would be extended, or a new warning, I should be saying, being extended into Garfield County. And so still rotating, oriented to Cleo Springs, about 555 to 558, right over Cheyenne Valley, and then Ringwood here at 621. Let me go, let's see, Derek is looking into this, and then Storm Command is just north of Fairview. Let me get an update from Michael, just to see his perspective. Michael, tornado warning continues with your storm. What do you see, Michael?
Yeah, there is a funnel here. It's not very low to the ground, but we do have a funnel that's hanging out of the wall cloud right in the middle of it. So this is probably our best view that we've had yet of the storm, Damon. I want you to look at the structure. When you go to meteorology school and you draw up a supercell in a textbook, this is what you see. Just an absolute beast of a supercell thunderstorm right now, just northwest of Fairview, Oklahoma. It does have a wall cloud beneath it. Right now, I don't see a visible condensation funnel that's down near the ground. However, the storm continues to be a powerhouse of a storm as it's lifting to the northeast toward Cleo Springs.
Just from a radar standpoint, and Michael, what we see from the Weather Center here at the KOCO5 studios is that all of these storms have that massive looking like hook look to it. I mean, they all have that look, whether they're in a tornado warning or whether in a severe thunderstorm warning. So this storm is moving to the east here, but as Jonathan kind of zooms out, you'll notice that they all basically have that hook. There's your hook. There's your hook. There's your hook. There's your hook. I mean, they all just have that look to them that just tells you, look, these storms are really rotating, moving to the east as they are sliding into the high risk zone where the dynamics are even more favorable. They're only going to begin to rotate even stronger here. So for Enid, again, we're not that far off here from probably having a new warning that's going to be issued for you. And so really concerned about that one. Here's your severe thunderstorm warning with a well-pronounced hook into this between Putnam and Taloga. That is moving to the east here. And so headed towards Oakwood at 6:02, Canton, 6:17, Longdale at 6:25. That storm, again, as you see, really has that inflow into it. And right now, Taloga is probably getting quite the hail core right on top of it, moving in the town. And that's headed to the east here, right in between, I guess, in between Putnam and Taloga. Bottom line, that is some damaging hail. And so Buck is watching that storm. Sky 5 watching that storm. Shane watching that storm. And so is Nick Smith, who's going to be on the southern flank here, watching these storms that are all going up right along I-40 here. So we're going to continue to watch this cell as it moves to these. Let's go up into the northern storm here that is going to be east of Alva, because last time we were looking at that storm definitely had that hook look to it as well. It's about to cross out of Oklahoma and make its way up into Kansas. We have Shane Helton on this cell, by the way. And so, Shane, you're probably not going to be on this storm for much longer as it's about to move up into Kansas, but it's still rotating. Shane, what do you see from your vantage point?
Yeah, Damon, I would say that it's definitely not as strong as it was a little while ago. The lowering is gone. The bottom of this cloud raised up quite a bit. It is no longer close to the ground. In fact, I don't know if you can see my GPS on there or not, but for our viewers, my GPS is not working today. We're between Alva and Cherokee, so we're watching this storm as it moves north, though. But it is definitely falling apart. There's still some lightning and thunder with it. Probably a little bit of hail, not much left in it, but it is definitely moving off into Kansas, and I would suspect not very much longer. They'll probably either drop the severe warning or it's going to have to cycle to be able to keep up with the severe levels. Back to you, Damon.
Okay, I know, Shane, you're going to keep a close eye on this storm. And so this is the northernmost storm. This was the first storm that developed today, and that's moving up to northeast. Still watching this tornado warning right here that Michael and Derek are looking at right here. And this is the only tornado warning, but there you go, brand new tornado warning. And this one does come up to Enid. This one pulls it up a little bit more to the northeast here. And so that, Enid, you're on the southern flank of it, but that would come into Cleo Springs at 5:51, Helena 6:09, Lahoma 6:20, and then we get into some of the Enid area right here in the next hour or so. So brand new tornado warning. Now for Garfield County, northwestern Garfield County, and into Major County as well, this is going until 6:30. Easy to see why with this cell right here. Still a well-pronounced hook coming into it. Not tornado warned, not on the ground, but as you've been hearing our reports from Michael, Derek, our team, they've been saying, look, this thing's been dropping funnels. Let's go out to Michael right now. Michael, brand new tornado warning issued. What do you see from Storm Command?
Well, we still have some pronounced lowerings even beneath the wall cloud that continue with this storm. What I don't see, a real good, what we would call rear flank downdraft, where the rain wraps around it and develops a clear slot with a wall cloud. These are just some terms that I'm using just to help you guys understand. I don't expect everybody to know what I'm talking about, but I'm just letting you guys know from a structure standpoint, this storm, it's up above it. It has tremendous structure. Down below, the wall cloud is still, I mean, you can see, look at that, Damon. It's pretty small in terms of that area that comes down into the rain shaft right there. But there is, as I'm looking at it, there does look like there's another appendage kind of hanging out of it. So we're going to continue to watch this super close. If this, again, moves into even even deeper moisture, even more impressive moisture. Imagine what it's going to look like in another 30 minutes. So, impressive storm.
It absolutely is an impressive storm. And so the high risk that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center earlier today started in central Major County and went all the way down to the south. So these storms are just now entering into the high risk zone, which means that the ingredients that they're going to have will certainly be more supportive for them to continue to increase as they move to the east here. So if you're anywhere from, say, Clio Springs, Orienta, this is likely going to stay just barely north of you, and then making its way towards Helena, Hillsdale. I know you had a tornado last weekend. Watching this storm closely for you as it continues to move to the east. And then we also have these storms down to the south. Derek Klein has a bit of a different perspective on this. Derek, you're coming in from the north. What do you see from the storm that is tornado warned right now?
Yeah, Damon. So you can see here, we're just north of Clio Springs right now. And so we're looking at the rotation. I've got my camera right on where the wall cloud is. You can see the rain shaft just to my right. And so we are looking from the north, basically down to the southwest. And again, lots of scud development, lots of lifting. But as far as having that rotation really, really kind of spin up and tighten itself, it hasn't done that yet. So we continue to watch this to see if it can figure out how to do that. But again, mid to upper levels, like Michael said, it's everything you'd expect in a tornadic supercell. Down at the lower levels, still kind of working to get all that stuff together. Even right here at the surface where we're at, the southeast winds blowing into it are fairly light. But I think as the lower level jet, as it goes into some of this better moisture that we expect to start really around 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit later than 6 o'clock, that's when I think this storm's just going to go crazy. And unfortunately, so we're going to be here to watch it, and we'll let you know. We're right underneath it. If it does anything, we'll see it. Back to you. Yeah,
certainly. We're going to continue to watch it as well. We still have a couple hours of daylight, although the risk for severe weather will continue well into the dark hours, and so there will be at least a little bit of a change there as far as what we're able to see. But bottom line is that this storm, only tornado warning we have right now, and it is rotating. I mean, we can definitely see it just in between Cheyenne Valley and Orienta, just west of where Storm Command is, continues to move to the east, northeast, and it is moving pretty quickly right now at 45 miles per hour. So that is fast. A bit of a northeasterly pull here in the last couple of radar scans here. So we're watching that one. Otherwise, the risk for severe weather still continues, getting a brand new update. And this just came in just seconds ago. And this is what we mean when we say we have to hit the message as hard as we can. And everyone understand. So this is from SPC, Storm Prediction Center. The threat for strong and potentially long track tornadoes is expected to increase into the evening. Also, very large hail will be possible with any supercell. So once again, the threat for strong and potentially long track tornadoes is expected to increase into the evening here. We cannot let our guard down. We cannot put down our guard at all when it comes to what these storms are doing right now and then what they're going to do in the next couple of hours. So right now, tornado warned. So far, most of these, if anything's been touching the ground, has been brief. We have received some pretty strong winds out of this. But as the sun sets, the threat's going to really take off here. That inflow just south of Huckmack here, west of Oakwood, is really beginning to take off as well here. So, I mean, look, we have the storm surrounded. Buck is watching it. Sky 5 is watching it. Steve is watching it as well. This is moving to the east here. You can definitely see that rotation right there. And this thing has had a bunch of lowerings with it. So, Oakwood at 6 o'clock. Canton, 6:14. Hitchcock here, 6:35. O'Keene at 6:42. So far, this storm has remained severe warned, although I don't think we're that far away from this becoming a tornado warning. I know we've been saying that for a little while here, but if I am, say, in Blaine County or even in Kingfisher County, I mean, look at that hook. Jonathan, all of these storms have had this well-pronounced hook echo from a radar standpoint. Definitely real concerning. Jonathan, I'll come to you in just a second. Let me go back out to Steve Carano. Steve, what do you see from your vantage point?
Okay, Damon, we're coming into Thomas right now. Going to be making our way up towards the Watonga area. on Highway 270 and 281, and this has looked really ragged. The circulation is there. I see the notch. I'm looking into the notch, but as you can see in my shot, the trees, unfortunately, it is really ragged. I mean, a lot of scud. There's a shot. Just a lot of ragged scud. It's not tightened up enough to produce a tornado, but we're watching it just in case it does move for you folks over towards Oakwood.
Yeah, we know that you will be watching this one as it continues to move to the east. Jonathan, we just got an update from the Storm Prediction Center, once again really wanting us to be very much aware of what the environment in central Oklahoma is capable of this evening. What do you see from a radar standpoint here, Michael? I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah, that's okay. These storms are really tall. The storm that Sky 5 is on, the Oakwood storm, that's the same one Steve Crono is looking at, is up to about 52,000 feet. So it is rooted, dominant updraft, big inflow. We're watching it closely. Sky 5 has a good view of it too. And what I'm concerned about is as these storms move a little bit more to the east, they might encounter more favorable dynamics. One thing that I'm looking at is the humidity. The dew point, it's a temperature that we measure. It's the temperature dew forms if you were to saturate the atmosphere or drop the temperature down and hit 100% humidity. The dew point to the east is much higher. We're talking tropical humidity. So over near like Yukon, El Reno, the dew point right now is like 70 degrees versus back to the west, like Butler and then Putnam and then Watonga, only like the lower to mid 60s. So there's a deep fetch of very high humidity, and that humidity, that moisture, you combine that with the heat, gets really explosive fuel, so instability. I'm still concerned about this storm. You can see it from Sky 5, big stinger cloud on the right, that kind of shelf, kind of the bell, the little scud. I understand what Steve was saying, there's a little bit of scud up underneath, but we have to watch these storms real closely, just scan by scan as they move to the east, they hit the stronger winds, and the later we get, and I was talking about this morning, like, hey, once we hit sunset, we're gonna hit that danger zone for tornado genesis from like, I'd say, no, sunset's later, but I'd say between 7 and 10 p.m., that's kind of the witching hour or the magic hour where everything comes together and these storms really start to rotate really hard. And that's what I'm concerned about. As the northern storm that Michael's on moves to the east towards Enid, I did see earlier today that Vance Air Force Base did evacuate majority of their aircraft that they couldn't shelter from the Jayhawks, the Talons, and the Texans. So all those training aircraft, they were flying them out. Literally one every minute was taken off, so they've evacuated Enid because of this risk coming in.
And a lot of the bases will certainly do that. So, looking at the radar right now, the storms are the winds are moving from south to north. That can increase that can at least produce a tornado threat. But as the storms begin to move and the winds begin to move more from the south to the southeast, we call that a backing wind. A backing wind is going to increase the tornado risk as these storms continue to march into central Oklahoma. So the threat will increase. You take that as well as a strong jet stream coming in as well, and these storms are going to continue to increase as well. So bottom line, we have not even come close to the peak threat here. I would really say that between about 7 and 11 o'clock will be the peak of at least the risk across central Oklahoma. So we haven't even gotten there yet, but if you recall last weekend when we had that moderate risk, once these storms kind of tapped into the low-level jet, all of a sudden we went from having no tornado warnings to about a dozen tornado warnings, it felt like. And that's what we're looking at as well as we get closer to sunset, that we're going to begin to see many more tornado warnings come out of here. So big hail with this cell moving to the east, continues for Helena, down towards Ringwood, and then making a run towards Goldtree, Hillsdale. Hillsdale, you were impacted by a tornado last weekend. So we're watching this storm closely for you from Hillsdale down to Enid here. Once again, tornado warning. Only tornado warning we have right now in the state, but as you see the banner on the bottom of your television screen, the tornado threat is increasing as storms move to the east-northeast and make a run into central Oklahoma. Jonathan, let's pull on out. Let's just show the big picture right now for people that are just now getting home from work and saying, okay, I see a bunch of clouds out into the western sky. What do I need to know? For OKC, we're all right. We were watching for at least a few pop-up storms to try to develop ahead of this line earlier. That's no longer the case. The storms did not develop, which means that these storms will have all the instability. And when I step off here, I'm just going to take a quick look here at the instability that we have in play here. It is extremely high here. I mean, it is, from a meteorological standpoint, it is one that would raise many eyebrows. We say like, wow, that is incredibly unstable. And that is what we see from Enid up to the north. Hennessy, Dover, Kingfisher. So for the short term, for the next 60 minutes or so, any threat for severe weather is going to be tied to basically those of us from Medford to Enid, down to Kingfisher, and down towards Weatherford. Also watching these storms that continue to backbuild. You see how the southern cells continue to be warned. And so Nick is watching the storms down by Cheyenne. Chris Lee is watching the storms down by Leedy, which, by the way, had storms earlier. Then we have Buck and Sky 5 watching this storm to the east. So the bottom line is that these storms are going to continue to backbuild down to the south. At this moment, they're still all staying north of I-40, but I would expect later into the evening, we're going to begin to watch these storms begin to develop south of I-40 as they move to the east here. So severe thunderstorm warning for this cell for Dewey County, for Aledo until 6:01, Burma at 6:07. Let me just get a double check real quick on what the language is inside this warning. This is for $0.50 and 60, moving to the east here at 40 miles per hour. So Steve is watching that one as well. That is going to be near Ray, Aledo, once again moving up towards Oakwood. Speaking of Oakwood, we have Sky 5 looking right into this storm as well. And then we have Derek and Michael watching this storm, which is still tornado warned, moving to the east. Bunch of storms to still keep a close eye on. Let me check in with Michael right now in Clio Springs. Michael, how's your storm look from Storm Command?
Yeah, Damon, so what we're looking at, this is the front edge of the storm, okay? So a big, large hook echo on radar, but what it looks like visually is really a lot different. What I'm seeing right now is there's really kind of two areas of lowering. One is on the leading edge. Now, I'm going to take my camera out and look back down. This is going to be looking toward Clio Springs, which has been under the tornado warning. And I was just hearing Derek say Derek's a little bit closer to being underneath it, and he said he's starting to see some horizontal funnels. So I would love to go to him. Derek, if you're available, I'd love to hear what your perspective is on this same storm.
Yeah, Michael. So, sorry, I thought I was muted there. So we're just a little bit north of Clio Springs. We're on east-west. It's an east-west road 360, and we're literally directly underneath the wall cloud right now. And we were seeing these funnels that were forming. So not coming towards the ground, they were horizontal, but it's really a good sign of the sheer increasing inside of the wall cloud, and the motion that we're seeing underneath the wall cloud has really, really started to pick up. So sometimes underneath it, which I know is probably not the place most people want to hear we're at, but that's where we are, you can really see what's actually happening inside of the wall cloud. So it gives you a different viewpoint than you might have from outside of it. Now, we're kind of in a position where if it were to make a tornado, it would be right next to us. It wouldn't be right on us. But we'd be able to see it really, really well. So, again, we're traveling eastbound. I know my shot doesn't show the wall cloud. It's literally because it is right above our head. But we're in a spot where if this were to touch down, all these properties that are up here just to the north and east of Clio Springs, we're going to be able to cover this tornado really, really well for them. So we're continuing to watch it here as it, again, continues to spin. I don't see it as organized as it was just a few minutes ago. But, again, this storm continues to kind of pulse. It's holding its own, and as it taps into that better moisture that's about 30 miles to the east, and potentially even before that, it's a matter of when does it grab hold of it. This storm's going to go crazy. Back to you.
Yeah, and definitely we are watching that. And so right now, where these the winds that these storms are currently in are a bit southwest to south. So they are not exactly in the most favorable location for at least increasing, but that will change as these storms begin to move to the east, and we have what we call backing winds. And so as that occurs, the rotation with these storms will increase. That is why the high risk is where it is for severe weather today and not out across western Oklahoma, all because of how the surface winds are going to be oriented here. So if you are in Enid, I know you're on the southeastern corner fringe of this tornado warning. We're watching it closely for you in Enid. Right now, look for this storm to make a run towards town in the next 45 minutes. Right now, it is 5:55, and we're watching this storm in the rotation moving in the next 45 minutes or so. So one tornado warning, but look at look at the inflow into that storm down there. That is going to be on this cell that is just near Canton. Let's go out to Buck right now. Buck, we see you just south of Oakwood, watching well-defined inflow into the cell. Buck, what do you see from your vantage point?
Yeah, Damon, we're seeing exactly what you're describing. I mean, we've had a great view of this storm now for about 15, 20 minutes, and it keeps kind of getting organized, and then it dissipates, and then it starts to recycle and develops that wall cloud again. It's about to get rain wrapped, I think. We're probably 4 or 5 miles south of it. We're zoomed in pretty good with our camera. So we do have a good view, and we're going to keep our eyes on it.
Okay, and so Buck is watching this storm right here. This is the area that he's concerned about right here. Still well-pronounced inflow into this storm right now as it continues to move up to the northeast. So once again, the risk for severe weather continues. It is not going anywhere at all. So brand new report just coming in. Severe thunderstorm warning for Blaine, Dewey, and Major County. That is going to be this storm that Sky 5, Buck, and Steve Carano have been on. This is going to be for 2-inch size hail, winds of 60 miles per hour. It is this storm right here. And so brand new warning. That is going to be north of Watonga. That is north of Watonga. Let's go at the Sky 5 right now. Chase Rutledge. Chase, what do you see up in the air?
In this storm, I know you've been watching a lot of cloud to ground, cloud to cloud lightning, and this wall cloud is enormous. Look at the structure of this storm. If we zoom out just a little bit, you can see those layerings that we see in a Titanic supercell like this one. And if we zoom back into those lowerings there, we're seeing those continue to drop down and pull back up. I think this storm is just continuing to grow as it continues to move to the east and to the northeast. We're going to stay on this one as long as we can. We got about an hour left until we need to go get some fuel. But Damon, this one's got all the ingredients that it needs. Back to you.
It absolutely has all the ingredients it needs, and then some. I mean, all of these storms are going to have the ingredients that they need. And so when you think about the time of the year that we're in May. You have what we call a negative tilt trough. I know that doesn't mean really a whole lot to you, but what that means to us, this storm is strengthening. And so this storm system that is coming in will strengthen right over Oklahoma. And so especially as these storms move to the east, and as we go into the next few hours, we're going to see these storms, which are, by the way, don't even have the max conditions that they're going to have in the next couple of hours, but you can already see how they look. So they're already up here from a radar standpoint. I mean, you can definitely see the inflow notch. So even if you bring in just a slight uptick, a slight increase in backed winds and a strengthening jet stream in here, these storms are going to have no problem at all really taking off. And that is what we're going to be watching with this storm as it continues to make its way up towards Canton. By the way, Canton, you're about to get hit with quite a bit of hail. Here's your hail core just west of town. That is moving up to the north. Now, this will stay north of Watonga. Watonga, I know you're looking at the storm right now. It continues to look stronger and stronger. Sky 5, let's go out to Sky 5, because that is a lowering that has really taken off here just in the last couple of moments. Look at that. That is going to be in between Oakwood and Huckmack here, but that continues to look lower and lower from Sky 5. Looking at this storm here, I mean, that is really, really, really starting to take off here. So really concerned about that and where this storm may be going here in the next little bit. But this is the same storm that is still severe warned, but that thing is starting to really tighten up here. We're going to watch it scan by scan. That's what we have to do with these storms. But from a rotation standpoint and what we see with what the winds are doing inside of it, Jonathan, I mean, that couplet is getting more pronounced. Jonathan, how is that couplet, when you look at that velocity couplet right now, how does it compare to the last couple of minutes?
Well, unfortunately, I'm hitting it with advanced radar, and so I'm punching through all the hail to see where the mesocyclone is. So the circulation doesn't look really good. That's called beam attenuation. So that hail just eats up the power of the radar. It's just not something you just can't change, right? But I'll tell you visually, look at that big inflow notch. So this is telling us the storm is pulling in rain-free air, right? And that's what's cutting away that notch. That's the inflow notch. has a massive hail core. The storm is now, I was looking at, I thought I saw 55,000 feet. I think that is the tallest storm we've seen so far today, even taller than the storm to the north that actually has a tornado warning. This storm is highly suspect. We're going to have to watch it real closely. Chase did an excellent job there, just zooming on in through some of those wrapping curtains of rain into the notch, looking for those occasional lowerings, and that's what he's going to have to do, kind of like hunting for that area of circulation that's pulled up in there. But Chase is in the perfect spot. I wouldn't ask him to change his position. He can clearly see what's going on. Occasionally, we may get like a new wall cloud to try to form in the southern flank and pull on in. On a scale like 1 to 5, just visually what I'm seeing from Sky 5 and what I'm seeing on radar with the inflow, I'd give it like a 2.5 out of 5 for rotation. So I think it's still a very significant, damaging storm. Obviously, we don't see a tornado with it right now with Sky 5, but boy, the hail is huge.
It really is. I mean, all that black that you see right there, down in between Huckmack and Oakwood, that is some big hail. And when you see a storm that is producing and can hold up, hail size is that large, that is a big time storm that we have here. So let's go back out to Michael Armstrong. He's going to be on the tornado warning that we have here. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Very, very important update for this storm. Northwest of Ringwood, Damon, a new wall cloud is formed. It is much more organized than the last one. This is probably the most organized wall cloud that I have seen with this storm. It has a bowl-shaped lower, kind of an appendage coming from underneath it as well. Once we can get out of some of these trees, you'll see it here in just a second. As we come out right about now, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. There it is. So there's a lowered area back in the rain. So that is the rain that wraps around the hook. So this is a new mesocyclone that's formed with this storm. Let me show you. So there's actually 2 wall clouds with this storm. Both are very well formed. I think this storm is on an uptick right now.
Michael, your pictures that are coming in right now, we can definitely see that wall cloud, and we can see it well. As we said earlier, as these storms begin to move more into central Oklahoma, they will begin to encounter better surface winds that are going to blow from the southeast right into the storm here. And so that is what we are watching right now with this cell, this tornado warning. This goes until 6:30, so for about another 30 minutes. Steve Carano watching that. Let me go out to Steve, by the way. Let me check in with Steve, because looking at his picture, Steve, is that Scud, or what are we looking at here with your picture?
Damon, this is tightening back up again. This is going to be the storm that's moving into Watauga area. And the Scud is really low to the ground. And Damon, the inflow notch is going to be a storm. Like you said, it's going to go into an environment where it is all by itself. I know you're seeing a bunch of trees here, but I'm getting out right now, and you should be able to see my my shot. This is really ragged still. It has been ragged. We're watching it very close, but that Scud is really close to the ground. It is going through a cycle, and I think it's going to tighten up. I think this is going to do it just because I think it's going to be out in front of every other storm that's up here. It's going to have good inflow, Damon. That's what I'm seeing.
And we definitely see that there. And Steve, by the way, I mean, what we are seeing from this storm and looking at the winds is that the low-level winds are beginning to back and go into the cell. Look at it from Sky 5 up in the air. I mean, what you see from Steve's vantage point here, you can definitely see that lowering. And look at this right here. This coming in from Sky 5. That has really changed pretty significantly just in the last couple of scans here. But that is lowering. And so really everything has to come together in order for these storms to produce a tornado. And while the ingredients are definitely there, as these storms move to the east, they really become more pronounced. And so if you've been listening to us, for the last couple of days and talking about the threat that we're really watching, these storms are now moving into that threat zone that it really takes off. Let's go back up to Michael. Michael's going to be on the tornado warning that is going to be making its way into west of Ian. And Michael, what do you see?
Every second, this storm is getting more and more intense. This storm is probably going to produce a tornado at any moment. This is imminent. Just northwest of Ringwood. It is south of Helena, Gultree. You need to be in your shelter right now. Also Carrier. Damon, it is amazing how fast this wall cloud has really taken shape. You can see the rain circling around it. Man, this storm is really, really ramping up quickly right now northwest of Ringwood.
Michael, as we just went to, I was looking at the last 5 minutes with this storm, the radar, the hook echo, you can definitely see that increase in rotation. And I'll show you what I mean. We'll keep this picture up on the left, but look at the radar. And Jonathan, just go back like 5 minutes and watch how this went from kind of being like a little kind of appendage, and then all of a sudden it went from looking like that, and now it's starting to hook up like that. So you can see it, from a velocity couplet there. And we have daylight. Look, we have the visuals on this. There's Derek. There is Storm Command looking right into this storm here. And so that storm is rotating just west, about 1 mile west of, let's see here. Let's see, let me go. I'm sorry, we're going to be north of Ringwood, south of Helena. If you're in Gulfstream or Carrier, I would say in these towns right here. Now, Helena, you're getting hit with a bunch of hail right now. But from Gulfstream to Helena, if this storm begins to turn more to the right, which if it's starting to show that on a hook echo, it may be doing that. This is going to pull more so down to the southern tier of this. And so let's watch this closely for Gulfstream. Let me go out to Derek, because Derek is right there as well. Derek Klein, looking from a radar standpoint, your storm is really beginning to hook up here. Derek, what do you see from your vantage point?
Yeah, I agree, Damon. The storm continues to really wrap up. It's moving just to the east-northeast, and we noticed, too, as well. We were right underneath it. We saw it begin to kind of spin up. We also noticed we could see the hook really swing around. It actually tried to come up and get on us on some dirt roads, so we had to really be careful with that to try not to get stuck. But it has lifted a little bit to my north, and we can really get a good sense of this wall cloud. I've seen some really, really small, what I would call like a hairpin funnel, so not very big, not very strong, but again, just shows that the shear and the spin inside of this wall cloud is really beginning to pick up now. And so I think it's just one step after the next. As it moves into this better moisture, the organization is there for this storm to really take off. Back to you.
And what I just noticed, by the way, Derek, is that this storm is beginning to move a little bit more east. And if you look from a velocity standpoint here, it almost moved a little bit more down to the southeast in the last scan here. We're going to have to watch that. But this storm may begin to be turning more to the east here, which we would expect with a strengthening storm. But this storm is definitely starting to increase its velocity. That hook echo is becoming more well pronounced, especially just in the last couple of radar scans here. And so that would pull it closer to Enid in the next little bit here. We're going to be watching it, but at this current track, Hillsdale, 645, and then we go down towards Oakwood Mall here in some of the Enid areas a few minutes after that. Let's go back out to Derek. Derek, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, it is really starting to spin now. We can actually see the rain sheets actually starting to spin with it. It looks like it kind of went back up again, but it got really, really close to producing a tornado just on the south side of this wall cloud, right on the bottom edge. Still is spinning really, really fast, violent upward motion. I can actually see it pulling the rain all the way around. I think we're about to have a tornado here at any moment, Damon. This thing is really, really spinning. So right now we are setting on, give me just a second here. Let me find my roads here. So we are setting on Highway 58, and it's just to the west of Highway 58 and north of County Road 360. I can see the rain sheets going in a circle. I can see the violent motion of the storm now. It's really beginning to spin here. It is just maybe a mile to my west right now. And it, again, probably moving due east. It's probably moving right at us right now. We're watching this. Again, it's so close to producing a tornado right now, just about a mile west of Highway 58 and just north by maybe a quarter of a mile of County Road 360. Back to you.
Yeah, we definitely see that here. And what I'm noticing, especially from a radar standpoint, is that this storm moving up to the northeast, but in the last couple of scans, you're going to see it begin to turn just a little bit more to the east here. And so this storm is really beginning to strengthen here as it's moving to the east. From a hail standpoint, Helena, Gulfstream, Hillsdale, this storm has some big hail. But from a rotation couplet, this is really beginning to pick up. Let me check back in with Storm Command and Michael Armstrong. Michael, your storm is beginning to strengthen. We can definitely see that. Michael, what do you see from your vantage point?
We're a little bit more closer than what Derek is. We're at 370, 58. Oh, my gosh. Wow. The winds are just creaking right here, Damon. Look at the lowering. It's very pronounced. if this doesn't produce a tornado here very close to just where we're at, I would not be surprised. Kyle, we need to back up and go north. So what we're going to be looking at with this storm, Damon, I'm trying to see if it's shifted at all. It seems like it's moving maybe a little bit more east than northeast, but Gultry and Carrier need to monitor this storm very closely. Lots of lowered area around it. Derek was exactly right. We were watching it too. Rapid rotation, clearly developing, and we're starting to get some rain with it. A little bit of we may get some hail with it eventually, but the storm is kind of surging out to the east right now. I really think as this storm moves on into Garfield County, this is going to be quite a storm to contend with for areas north of Enid, for Carrier, Kremlin, Garber, Hunter, on downstream. You guys need to be ready for this supercell. It means business.
It absolutely means business, and from what we see from a radar vantage point and the pictures that all of our chasers are bringing to us this afternoon and this evening, is that these are all kind of beginning to connect here, and they're all beginning to line up. You have the southeasterly winds feeding in this storm. It is beginning to hook up here, and Michael mentioned, it looks like it's beginning to move more east than northeast, and so that would bring it closer towards Gultry and eventually towards Hillsdale. Now, that current track, it's still gonna be pretty close to Enid, but it may just stay just a little bit north of Enid. But here we are right here. I mean, I know there's a bunch of county roads here, so let's see here. Okay, there's Gultry. Okay, here's Gultry. Here's your hook. Basically, I would say you're 1, 2, 3. About 3 miles. I'm in Gultry. You're not that far away. Enid, I know you can look into the western sky, and you can see this right now, but this would be moving in towards Carrier at 6:42. It's about 30 minutes from now. Hillsdale, 6:48. North Enid at about 7 o'clock. That's about 45 minutes from now with this storm that continues to track to the east-northeast here. So once again, tornado risk continues with this storm as it moves up to the northeast, and from a velocity standpoint, it is still rotating, moving to the east. We're going to come back to this storm. Let's get an update on the storms that we have down to the south here, because we have other cells that we've been watching, some pretty impressive storms as well. This one near Canton, rotating in the mid-levels here, southwest of, or just south of Canton. Sky 5 has been showing us a bunch of lowerings, still severe warned. And then here's another cell that, by the way, has pretty well inflow into that as we look out towards Putnam. So tracking this storm to the east, we're headed in towards Darrow at 6:35, O'Keene 6:44, Parvin, Ames, and Lacey at about 6:45 to 7 o'clock. Steve is watching these storms, and then tail end here, these storms are picking up their rotation as well down by Putnam. All these storms basically have a very well-pronounced rotating couplet here. I mean, you can see the inflow into that Putnam storm pretty clearly on radar. You can see inflow into this storm down by Carlton and south of Canton. That storm, again, they all have that look to them, you know? And so Chris Lee is looking at this one, and so is Nick Smith as well, watching these cells that are what we call tail end Charlie storms. So tracking this storm to the east from Putnam, Oakwood 649, that's rotating. Eagle City 703, Canton at 708. So far, looking at what these storms are doing and then lining it up and comparing it to the bunch of the data that we've been looking at throughout the afternoon, everything is kind of going the way that we've expected it to, with these rotating cells moving to the east here. Definitely still pretty impactful. And by the way, we still have storms developing even all the way out towards Hammond and Morewood. Those aren't severe yet, but they're probably going to go that way. But this storm near Putnam is rotating as it's moving up to the northeast here. So right now, tornado threat continues with all of these storms. I mean, they're all really just showing that look, and they have that look as they are moving to the east here. Jonathan, I keep stepping off and just looking at the surface winds just to see what these storms have to work with. Definitely these storms that are on the farthest to the east have more backed winds, but these storms are going to move into central Oklahoma and encounter some better surface winds to strengthen. What do you see from a radar standpoint there, Jonathan?
Well, look how they're lined up. They're not lined up north to south. When they line up north to south, the southern storm blocks all the inflow to all the storms that are stacked. Where they're lined up from east to west, they all have clear inflow into them. So that storm that Chris Lee is looking at, the one that's near Putnam, that storm is a supercell, very robust, strong inflow notch. You got to watch that one. I think there's enough separation between the Putnam storm, the Canton storm, and then Michael storm, which we'll call the Helena storm. There's enough separation between all of them that they'd be able to rotate, cycle enough, and then eventually produce a tornado. Now, the only tornado warning is the Helena storm, and Derek and Michael are right there. They could be any closer. Sky 5's watching the Carlton storm. He has a occasional wall cloud. He's watching it closely. There's what you'll see happening tucked up in the storm. You'll see the old wall cloud get pulled on in, and then back to the west, you'll see like a new wall cloud form, the new area circulation, and then you'll see the inflow notch get a lot stronger. So again, absolutely, as these storms move to the east, they hit higher humidity, and we warmed up. We were able to get in the 80s. Just west of OKC with dew points, we have tropical humidity. Dew points are in the lower 70s. And so again, we're going to just have to watch these storms. The longer we go into the evening, the stronger the dynamics will get, meaning the jet stream winds and these storms. If they stay discrete supercells, as they move to the east, they're going to start to turn a little bit harder and really ramp up that tornado risk. And then again, back to the west, there's a couple new cells that have fired up, one west of Elk City and one west of Butler. So watch those kind of explode up, again, unobstructed to the south. So those have inflow, feeding on all that instability down to the south. So as of right now, 3 potent storms, watching them very closely. I'd imagine if they don't produce a tornado here, they probably will when they get to about Highway 81. I think that's going to be about the magic line.
Yeah, and Highway 81 is usually one of those areas that can certainly kind of divide the state when it comes to severe weather. It's talked about a lot as far as storm chasers and where they head. So you have Steve Carano right now that is going to be on this storm just north of Watonga near Canton and Longdale towards Okeme. Let's check in with Steve right now. Steve, watching your storm closely, what do you see?
Okay, Damon, I'm just a few miles north of Watonga near the airport, and I don't know why this storm has not tornadoed yet. It is still continuing this inflow notch. It still looks really, really good on radar. The circulation is just to my northwest, and I'm zooming in on 2 different areas, and I'm waiting for one of these inflows to take over. I think the one I just showed you was definitely going to be the one that I think will take over. There's a lightning strike there. There's a heavy core there, and then right here, right in this part of the storm right here, north of Watonga, this is going to stay north of Watonga, but that is ominous. The circulation has been here. It just has not tightened up the way I think it should.
But it's going to be, it's going to, yeah, I know you're watching it, and we're going to be watching it as well. And there's a couple new things that we're noticing on the radar just in the last couple of scans here. Even this cell that's going to be south of Tologa, that is beginning to look a little hooky as well. And so all of these storms, they basically all have a very similar look. Let's go up to our tornado warning, and we'll check in with Michael and Derek on the storm. The tornado warning that we have here, get an update with this tornado warning that is now going to be, let's see, tornado warning coming for the storm in Putnam. By the way, tornado warning coming for the storm in Putnam. So this is about to be our next tornado warning right here. And so Chris Lee is watching this one. And there's Buck as well. So this storm is going to be moving up to the northeast. And so let's see here. How's the velocity look inside of this? Let's see.
Unfortunately, it's strong, but we're really far away from all the NEXRAD sites. But I'll just say visually with reflectivity, that inflow notch, it's strong. It's a very tall storm. Its normalized rotation's pretty high. So I would put it, at a 3.5 out of 5 for rotation, Damon.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just from that visual right there. And this kind of tells a story about these tail end storms here, which means that we'll have to watch that other cell that is going to be south of Ray and see if that becomes another storm that will kind of take a similar a similar path as these storms are going to look here. So Buck is watching this storm. Chris Lee is looking into that storm as well right now. And then we're also watching this storm up here. Okay, let's go back up toward our first tornado warning that we have. That is going to be up near, that is going to be west of Enid. And let me check in with Storm Command on this here. Michael, still watching your storm here. Tornado warning continues. What do you see here, Michael?
It's a little less organized. I mean, there's still a lot of motion. So if you actually look on velocities, what you'll see is a channel of inflow that's coming in. This is just north of the Gulfstream area, really high velocity winds that are coming down. And actually some of that is even the front flank downdraft. So we drove through some of that. We got some horrendous winds with some large hailstones that were falling in that wind as well. That was right after it looked like it was about to produce a tornado. Since then, it does not have as well-defined appearance in the low levels, but I'll tell you what, this thing is really moving into a favorable area. And I will tell you, I'm going to give you a shot right now, and I want you to just see the atmosphere and look how it is just churning. Watch this right here. Look at the clouds. They're moving in all different directions, and you've got rain curtains that are spreading around as well. That's almost over our head. The actual place where the tornado would spin up is further to the south. So there is just some extreme winds up above the ground with this storm right now, Damon.
There definitely is. And, Michael, what you're showing us, we can visually see that, and that helps to tell the story with these storms. And now that we're getting, closer and closer to sunset here, we're about 90 minutes out. These storms are going to encounter some higher shear that will allow these storms to continue to rotate. So we'll watch this one. Let's see here. Buck has a pretty well-pronounced wall cloud. Let's see here. Is Buck looking at the Putnam storm? Yes. Let me go out to Buck right now. Buck, we see a very well-pronounced wall cloud. Buck, what do you see from your vantage point? Buck, we have you live on air. Damon, Buck, what do you see?
Damon, we're moving west right now. We're trying to get right over to where we can see this. We're in a bunch of trees. I tried to zoom in with my 360 camera, and it wasn't working. So we're finding a road right now to get us west, so we get a good look at this. Back to you.
Okay, let's put up Buck's picture here. Buck is going to be on. Let's see. He's going to be showing a pretty well-defined wall cloud. This is not. We'll get Buck's picture up here in just a second. Again, Buck is looking right into this, and there's a very well-pronounced wall cloud that is coming in right now. He's going to be on QC16, but look at that inflow into this storm. And so Buck is looking right into this. And so when we see that wall cloud here, okay, we'll go to Chris Lee. Okay, we'll go out to Chris Lee's picture. Chris, what do you see?
Yeah, we're just going now north out of Thomas right now, and we can see the wall cloud, several lowered spots in the wall cloud. Let's see if we get around these houses here up on this hill. We can kind of show you it's that lowered area, but you can see, I can't tell exactly where the rotation is in that because we just were out of the car for a minute in Thomas, but you can see it very low to the ground. Yeah, if we can pull off here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. That is to the north of, looking north and back west from Thomas. And through the wind turbines there, you can kind of see how close that is to the ground. Not seeing any really strong rotation now that I've got a good look at it and we're stationary, but it definitely is very low to the ground. We're kind of watching this whole area here, Damon.
And Chris, we can see your picture there crystal clear. Again, that is a wall cloud right there. So this is the newest tornado warning that we have. And so this is going to be out towards Putnam, but you can definitely see that lowering that is coming down. So there's Chris Lee. He's looking right over this farmland and looking right at that right there. Again, that inflow with this cell. This is going to be east of Putnam by just a little bit. So Putnam, you're just barely outside of this threat, but seeing that inflow coming into the storm, definitely starting to increase here. And there's Buck looking right into as well. So Buck is from the east, looking to the west. Chris Lee is down by Thomas. He has clear shot right into this. And again, Buck is showing us, let's see here, this is going to be Buck's picture right here on the top there. And then that's going to be Chris Lee down there in the middle. But we can definitely see that that storm is becoming more well-pronounced, and that thing is moving to the east here. Let me get an update here on this tornado warning. Let me just double check the speed here, but I believe this is moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. So tornado warning continues, and that is a pretty strong storm. And if it continues to move to the east, it's going to probably hug the southern flank of this tornado warning polygon. So Oakwood at 640, Eagle City at 650, Canton at 654, and then we go in towards Watonga at 705. Steve Carano, speaking of Watonga, is looking right into the cell as well. Steve, what do you see?
Okay, Damon, I'm sandwiched in between Chris's storm and my storm that is affecting Canton. This is Chris's storm, the one that's got the tornado warning on it. You can see the wall cloud there, the circulation. So we're going to stay right here. We're ahead of it. You can see the backside of it here. I'm zooming in with my camera. Right there, there's the backside of the wall cloud. And then I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to show you the one that's north of Canton. We're over here just north of Watonga near the airport. And this is the circulation we've been following and the area rotation we've been following all afternoon of this storm that's going to be near Canton. That's tightening up as well just a little bit. So we're going to stay right here. We're sandwiched in between the tornado warning and almost a potential tornado warning.
And so, yeah, Steve, we're watching your picture here and your stream coming in. And so this storm continues to really tighten up its circulation. And so Steve is on the storm. Buck is watching this. Chris Lee. Nick Smith is watching these southern flank storms that continue to go up. There's Nick as well, because these storms that are down by Butler and Hammond, even though they're not tornado warned, they are going to move into an environment that it will basically encourage or at least increase the threat here as the winds are going to be more favorable. And so I expect that all of these storms are going to begin to ramp up here in the next little bit. So that tornado warning, this inflow here, southwest of O'Keene, moving to the east. That's a severe thunderstorm warning, but that's headed towards O'Keene at 639, Lacey 659, Hennessy 716, Wacomas at 722. You can see our fleet of chasers here. They are all surrounding these storms here, bringing you all the pictures that you need. But I'm going to tell you right now, from what we see from a radar standpoint, these storms are rotating, and they are definitely picking up that strength. Kind of, they all have that same look, that inflow, that hook as it moves to the east here. So Darrow, O'Keene. Tell you what, O'Keene, I know you're not in a tornado warning yet, but you may not be that far off. Now, the storm has been severe warned for a while, and so, but from a radar standpoint, the rotation is definitely there and picking up, and you can even see the low-level winds beginning to increase, rushing right over Hitchcock here. And so see how that green turned really bright? That bright green is an increase in winds that are getting pulled into this storm. And so, O'Keene, you may not be, again, I'm hoping not. None of us want to see these tornado warnings out there at all today. But, you know, we're just here to report what we see, and that is a strengthening couplet there. And Jonathan, look in the last couple of radar scans. That low-level wind into that is just increasing, moving over Hitchcock.
So here's your couplet. That would be kind of not quite gate to gate, but you have outbounds right here that's moving away from the radar. We're using the advanced radar site. These are the inbounds. So that's your center of circulation. But your inbounds, this wind field right here is higher, and it's flowing into the storm. So that tells me right now the inflow is increasing, always indicative that the storm is venting or the updraft is pulling more moisture up, and we can clearly see that. Let me clear all the drawings here. That the inflow notch is getting really strong. I'm really surprised that this doesn't have a tornado warning, just like what we're seeing with it visually. And what I'm seeing on radar. And again, these are kind of daisy-chained supercells. Also concerned about the Oakwood storm that Chris Lee and Buck King are looking at, because that storm looks very significant. I think the inflow is even stronger with that one. So, you know, we have the tornado warning up near Helena and Kremlin, that Storm Command and Derek are on. We have the storm in the middle, which is a beast of a storm, very tall, dropping some really big hail. I mean, you get the black colors there, that's like 2-inch hail. And then you have this third supercell down near Oakwood. So again, I don't remember when we said it, like, hey, the longer we wait, the next 30 minutes, these storms are going to counter better dynamics, and they're really going to start to rotate. And I mean, I'm just looking at all the live streams. There's a lot of lowerings out there. We may want to check in with Steve Carano here pretty soon.
Well, and also, we just got a brand new warning. Let's just pull out just a little bit because now I'm watching Nick Smith's storm that was just warned on as well. And by the way, there's another cell. So, Nick, I know you've been watching the storms down to the southwest, and we'll be talking to Nick in a little bit. But just a heads up, Nick, there are 2 storms that are probably going to be ones to watch as well. So all of these storms are now getting into that threshold where the inflows are becoming pretty well pronounced. By the way, Jonathan, we'll come back to these storms. We did have a brand new tornado warning just issued not that long ago, and that one's going to include where we have Derek and Mike. And so now that's north of Enid. So Enid, right now, this storm should stay north of you, but Enid, I hate to say this, these storms that are down to the south are pulling up in your direction as well. Real quick, let me just check in with Michael just for about a couple seconds here. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing with this storm near Gultree.
Yeah, Damon, right now where we're at, we're over just south of Hillsdale. This area of rotation seems to be picking up again, right kind of in the middle of the wall cloud. This storm has got a lot of wind with it just above the surface near Hillsdale. It just has yet to really kind of been able to sync up. But look at the appendage now that's starting to come out of that wall cloud that's directly behind us. So this is going to be moving over toward Kremlin and Pond Creek and Hillsdale.
Okay, we'll come back to Michael again in just a second there. Again, his message coming in and out, but that storm is still rotating, and it's definitely a couple of minutes, right where Derek and Michael are going to be. Okay, let's go down to where Chris Lee is because his storm has had some pretty well-pronounced lowerings from time to time here. It's going to be, let's see, Chris is looking at this tornado warning right here west of Oakwood. Chris, how does it look from your vantage point? From a radar standpoint, Chris, I mean, we can see this thing rotating right now on top of Oakwood. What do you see, Chris?
Yeah, I can see it rotating due north here. We're north of Thomas by about 5 miles. We're looking almost due north. That road would be looking due north. Lowered over here on the left side of the wall cloud. When we were coming up here, it looked like we perhaps touched the ground briefly. It was hard to tell because we were kind of blocked by some trees. I do not see anything on the ground right now, but this whole area here is rotating, kind of rotating around the middle there, where I'm zooming in here. I do not see now and have not seen any of that rotation come all the way to the ground, but we're definitely watching it right here. And from this vantage point, if it does come down, we will be able to see it as it heads towards Oakwood.
So, and Chris, we've been watching your shot, and it is coming in crystal clear, and so we have a really clear visual into this, and we can see these lowerings, but the storm is rotating, and it is rotating. You can definitely see that red and that green coming together pretty close to where Buck is as well, very close to Oakwood. And so that storm moving to the east here, right now it is 633, Oakwood at 637, Eagle City 650, Carlton 701, it's just south of Canton Lake. And then we go down towards Darrow and O'Keene and that 720, 730 time frame with this storm moving to the east. Although if it begins to produce a tornado, it would most likely favor the southern track of this storm right here. That storm continues to rotate as well down by Homestead and by O'Keene. And if anything, that rotation couplet continues to look more pronounced, especially just southwest of O'Keene here, moving up to the northeast. And let me just double check real quick, but the southeasterly winds, they're really starting to pick up here. Really once these storms make their way towards Watonga and Hinton, they begin to move out of the strong southerly winds, which, by the way, is what's fueling this. But once they start to move into southeasterly winds, you'll notice that the inflows become a bit more pronounced here. And really, that southeasterly wind component is very important, is what these storms would need to produce a tornado. I would love to see these winds go southwest. That would basically, get rid of the tornado risk for good. That would be a dream for us. But these winds are moving from the southeast, and they're only getting stronger as we go into the next couple of hours from O'Keene, north of Hitchcock here. Homestead is getting hit with some hail, but look at that rotation right there. And we can pick up the inflow into this with those bright greens that we see on velocity. So this storm is strengthening, moving towards Parvin at 648, Lacey 656, Hennessy at 710. Let's go out to Steve. Steve is in Watonga looking right into the storm. Steve, I tell you what, looking at the velocity, the storm is getting stronger. What do you see, Steve?
Yeah, it's been doing this all doggone day, and it just wants to tornado so bad it can't see straight. But it is wrapped up on itself, and it looks like the outflow is pushed ahead just a little bit. There is some rotation here. It's thin there. It's cramped right in here where you see that little scud hanging underneath the cloud. It's been rising, and it is rotating. Now I'm going to zoom back. Now this is to the north. This is north of Watonga. I'm going to zoom back to the west, and this is the storm that Chris is on. And this storm here is the one that's got the tornado warning that Chris is on. So I'm going to let you talk to Chris about this one. I think he's a little bit closer.
Well, Steve, and just goes to show you, we can see that wall cloud from your perspective. And so this right here, Steve is kind of looking in both directions here like that. But that is the storm that we have Buck and Chris on right now. But that storm is continuing to lower as well. From a radar standpoint, and I'm telling you right now, from what we see with the technology here at KOCO and what the winds are doing up inside of these clouds, it is spinning like this. And I'm telling you right now, I would love it, absolutely love it, just to see these winds go southwest and just ruin, or just basically just completely remove the tornado risk. But unfortunately, these are the cards that we were dealt with today, and that is strengthening southeasterly winds with these storms. And so as they are moving to the east here, I'm telling you, I would love just to not have these storms out here, but Oklahoma in the springtime, this is what we get sometimes. And so if you're, by the way, just now getting home from work, we do have a PDS tornado watch currently in effect until 11 o'clock, one of probably at least two watches that we're going to have issued for this evening. So this storm that Buck is in right now, by the way, moving to the east, headed towards Oakwood at 637, 648 for Eagle City, O'Keene to Omega, 721 to 727, and then Parvin at 732. These storms are still slowly moving to the east. I know they've all kind of been in the same vicinity of the state for the last little bit, but we're going to continue to watch it. This storm is still tornado warned, and it looks like these back winds, or these winds are starting to kind of surge back out here. And so there's your couplet, and to kind of put that in perspective, that would be very close to Hillsdale, by the way, which had a tornado last Saturday. And so it's not as hooky as what we saw earlier. It's kind of more stretched from north to south. And so we'll have to watch and see if this hook echo becomes a little bit more pronounced, hoping it doesn't. But towards Hillsdale at 645, Pond Creek to Hunter, 715 to 728. Woo! I tell you what, Nash is getting some pretty big hail right now. The hail core of this is moving up to the northeast. And so that warning, let me double check the language on this warning, but that looks like a pretty well-pronounced hail core. Yeah, golf ball size hail and winds of 60. Jonathan, we've been on air right now for almost 4 hours watching these storms. Take the radar just for a second so I can switch out a mic battery.
Yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah, really concerned about what's going to happen here in about the next half hour as these storms move to the east, hit higher humidity, strong south winds, and then the dynamics of the jet stream kick in. And so, when we have quiet days, one of my favorite things is actually when Michael Armstrong is back in the Weather Center. He's like a walking tornado dictionary, and we'll reflect back on case events. And one thing he always points out is like, Jonathan, the low-level winds are key to tornado genesis. And it's not just at the surface, but also up a little bit from about 2, 3, 4, 5,000 feet. And we're expecting those winds to come in and help these storms rotate. And it's a bad kind of help. So we're watching that real closely. Again, I still think there's enough separation here between Storm Command storm, which is going to be, we'll call that the Kremlin-Nash storm. That one's got the tornado warning. The storm that's over O'Keene has a very strong inflow notch, and it has significant circulation. It's not real tight, but it is broad, strong inflow notch. And again, I call these like daisy-chained supercells. They're all hooked up. They all have inflow, and they're not really like the hail core with the Oakwood storm is not forward enough to impact the O'Keene storm. So there's enough separation between all of them. So we're watching these very closely as they move to the east. And I think, if they haven't dropped a significant tornado yet, I know we had a lot of talk a lot of talk the last couple days about significant tornadoes, strong tornadoes. I think the dynamics are getting stronger here. Is it tornado warning?
Yeah, and now we're getting a tornado warning on this, which, looking at the southeasterly winds, I mean, this storm is starting to pick up. So this yellow box is going to now have a red box inside of it. That is a tornado warning. And so we have Sky 5 looking at this. We have Steve looking at this as well. And so, again, tornado warning now coming for this cell. That is going to be for O'Keene and headed towards Ames here and eventually towards Lacey. So new tornado warning, and just look at that inflow that's currently going up right now. That is going to be near O'Keene. That is strong inflow. See that blue? That is going to be your winds into this, and there's your hook echo now beginning to develop just south of O'Keene by about 2 miles. So there's your tornado warning right there, just issued. And so this is for Kingfisher, northwestern Kingfisher County. By the way, although Blaine County watching this storm, that's making its way towards your west as well. So we're probably going to be dealing with at least rolling tornadoes, tornadic supercells here. This will be tornado warning number 1. This storm will come in right behind it. This may be the zone to watch when it comes to at least areas that are going to be under at least a steady tornado warning for the next hour or so, because O'Keene, you have a tornado warning now, and then you have another storm that's down to your southwest that will be rolling in pretty soon. So Sky 5, Steve Carano looking at this storm, and look at that right there starting to pick up. That is going to be southeast of O'Keene, headed towards Lacey. Right now. And so let me just look at the language with this tornado warning that we currently have in play here. This is going to be, let's see here, we're starting to get some pretty large hailstones out of this too, by the way. Now we're going with tennis balls. So tennis ball size hail, and storm moving up to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So starting to get some pretty large hail that is starting to be picked up inside of this storm. And so from a hail side, O'Keene, you're most likely getting the hail core of it, and then this is moving up to the northeast. Sky 5 is looking into the storm, and it looks like, what do you see, Jonathan?
Yeah, we just topped him off at Watonga with some Jet A. He's about 5 minutes away from being able to see tucked up into the wall cloud. So he's south, looking north into it. Again, give me about 5 minutes. He's got a really good tailwind. His ground speed, he's doing like 150 miles an hour. He's flying northeast. So give me just a couple more minutes and have a really good view right into that notch. And tucked up back in there, that's where the tornado is going to be. With his shot, you can see on the backside, you can see some striations, you can see the wall cloud. The wall cloud is to his due north. Again, give me about 5 minutes, I'll have him pulled up right in there. We'll have a really good visual of what's going on up in there.
Okay, and so we know that you will. So we're going to be watching this one again, this tornado warning that is now headed up towards Lacey and Parvin. But look at that velocity couplet now, really starting to strengthen just southeast by about 1.5 miles of O'Keene. And so starting to get that, see that blue? That's where we're going to have to start looking for a debris tracker now, pick it up. Let's see. Is that lined up with the hook? It's probably going to be pretty
stand
close.
by.
Let's see here. Yeah,
that's a debris signature, Damon.
Yeah, that definitely is.
So that was probably a tornado, and let's say it tornado doing damage.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That would be just southeast of O'Keene here by just a little bit. But what we're looking at here, what kind of debris? It could be all sorts of different things. It could be grass, it could be farm equipment. But when you see that blue that is popping up right there, that is definitely an indication of at least something that our radar is seeing that is a bunch of different sizes. So it's not all same hail sizes. It's not all the same, raindrop sizes. It's picking up on various sizes here. So that is southeast of O'Keene, but that right there would trigger a confirmed tornado. Now, Chase Rutledge is coming up inside of this here, but look at the winds. Your red, winds are away from the radar. Green, winds are towards the radar. So this thing is rotating. Right here, we're coming at this from Vance, and so we're shooting it from the north down to the south. But there's your rotation right there. So you have strong winds coming right over O'Keene, and then they're picking up here and definitely moving to the east here. Let's see here. Moving to the east at, I believe, at about 30 miles per hour. But that would be very close to O'Keene. And so the threat continues with this storm that is really, really tightening up. And so at this current track, by the way, this tornado warning polygon that you see that goes all the way off the top of your television screen, that just barely nips Enid. So if you're anywhere from Enid to Wacomas, just looking downstream from this storm is really starting to pick up there. And Sky 5 is going to be looking right into the heart of this storm here. Let's see if we can go full with Sky 5. I just want to see what he sees here. Besides, let's see here. Definitely a dark. Okay, I'm just looking real quick at what Sky 5 has here. And again, this is a dark looking storm. I mean, that storm is, we still have about an hour of daylight, but that storm is really taking in a lot of, not really giving us much of a visual other than just a ton of rain that is coming down and some big hail that's going to be up in there. But let's see here. Sky 5, you can see he's going to be about 5 miles south, looking into this storm, looking for any type of power flashes, anything that would just indicate that there's something right here. Got quite a bit of lightning inside of this. Let's go back over to the radar, and we'll go back to Sky 5 here in just a second. Bottom line, this storm is continuing to strengthen as it is moving up to the northeast. And so, but look at that couplet. It's still rotating. You can definitely see where the red and the green come together here. And so at this current track, if you're near Hennessy, Lacey, Bison, even Vance Air Force Base on the very top of your television screen, you are included in this warning. And then also another storm there that is going to be tornado warned, that is going to be down by Oakwood. So we are working just a couple of, we're going to be bouncing back and forth here with these storms, but current track, Lacey at 7:04, Hennessy 7:24, Wacomas at 7:32, and then we go to Vance at 7:36. Easy to see the inflow. Now the storm has been producing inflow really since it developed here, a little while ago, but it just reached that threshold where it took it over from a severe thunderstorm warning to now a tornado warning as that cell continues to really tap into some strong southeasterly winds here. So tornado warning until 7:30. That is for another 45 minutes with this storm. That means that it will be making its way towards Wacomas and all the way in the far right-hand side of your polygon here, sometime right around, say, 7:30 or so, plus or minus a few minutes. But that is, what do you see? What do you see, Jonathan?
We need to start, Sky 5's getting closer, okay? He's coming up a little bit. There's probably wrapped up in there. Chase, I know he's listening. Chase, keep vectoring northeast at 045 and look back up in the notch. There's going to be a tornado tucked up in there. I think we might be seeing like the leading edge of it. That might be it right in there. Chase, keep flying northeast. Have Fran just pan a little bit left. Look up in there. And the way we have it set up, I need Sky 5 to pan left just a little bit because the radar's covering up. Yeah, tucked up in there. Yeah, look, okay, there you go. Nope, zoom in a little bit to the right on that leading edge. Yeah, Chase, right there. Zoom in. That's going to be where the tornado is going to be. Keep coming in, Chase. Chase, just keep flying northeast, and you're going to have Fran watch that. That's going to be where the circulation is. That's where the tornado is going to be tucked up in there. Keep coming. A little bit rain wrapped on the backside, but keep on going. Tucked up in there is a tornado.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be it right there. So this is where the tornado is going to be. This is going to be near O'Keene here. Let me just slide over here. And so definitely, that's probably going to be it, pretty close to that right there. But that is going to be it. Let's put the radar back up, but we'll keep this shot here live because there's your hook right there. And look at that. That velocity couplet continues to look more and more pronounced as a tight couplet that is going to be very close to O'Keene right there. And that thing is picking up debris. We can definitely see it on the radar. And so that blue that you see, where that blue kind of becomes more apparent, that would be your debris tracker. And so that is basically, that's what we look for, that blue color right there that is coming up in towards O'Keene, just east of O'Keene. But this couplet's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so looking downstream towards Hennessy, if this storm begins to turn more to the right, we're going to have to watch pretty close for those down near Hennessy right now. This is a strong storm right now that is moving to the east here. And if you look at the last couple of radar scans, here's Hennessy right here. And so we're watching this storm here move to the east. Let me go back out to Chase. Chase, can you see this tornado or have you seen any power flashes?
Damon, we've been looking, zooming in and zooming out, trying to see if we see any power flashes. I know there's a lot of lightning and it's really green, so I know there's a lot of hail in there. Not seeing the tornado yet, but those flashes, that's lightning. Those aren't power flashes. we're going to continue to look back up in here. I got a little bit further to go to the northeast, and then we're going to be able to turn around and look back in there. Hopefully we'll be able to see it if it's tucked back in there, Damon.
Yeah, and definitely from a radar standpoint here, I mean, this storm is really strengthening. And again, there's going to be a tornado that's going to be tucked up in there, and that is up in the air. We still have good visual, and we're lightening the shot here, but from a radar standpoint, I mean, this storm is definitely rotating, and it's beginning to pick up its rotation here, and that couplet is moving right down, literally right down the highway here, and it is headed towards Hennessy, I'm afraid to say. I'm really watching it, but if you're anywhere from Hennessy to Wacomas, this storm is really starting to pick up here. Very concerned about Hennessy. And also, by the way, there's going to be another storm that's going to roll right across it as well. Storm command coming down on this cell. And so we'll talk to Michael here in just a little bit. But I tell you what, that is a bad looking storm right there. And I do not like what I see, especially from the velocity couplet. As we mentioned, these storms are going to move to the east. They're going to tap into some more southeasterly winds. And we're going to see things really take off here. And just look at that couplet right there. Yikes. That is not good at all. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go over to, are we on TLX? What are you saying there, Jonathan?
There's a data drop with Vance. I don't have Vance data anymore. So that's why we have multiple radar sites though.
Sure thing.
But circulation there between O'Keene and Parvin, I mean, Sky 5's looking right into it. Strong inflow notch right there. Lacey, tornado action plan right now. Whatever you and your family has decided is best for you, you need to execute that plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm seeing that debris signature here popping up. So, new tornado warning, by the way, for these storms, and these are that's going to be making its way towards Watauga. Let's check in with Steve Carano. Steve, what do you have?
I am looking right at that storm. That just a new tornado warning just came out. This is going to be north of Watauga, looking to the northwest. And if we're going to have a tornado, it's going to be right here, Damon, right here. That's the leading edge. I'm seeing some high velocities. The velocities have really, really increased just to the north and west of Watauga, and that is the wall cloud. And seeing some tags trying to form here. If it's going to produce a tornado, it's going to be it right there. If it's going to do it, it is really cranking up right here. We left that tornado warning that Chase is on. We left that storm, and Chase got it. And now this one is right on its heels, and it may tornado at just any minute.
Okay, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this storm. Let's go back up to the O'Keene storm. By the way, O'Keene, I know you're overlap right now with tornado warnings. Your phones just went off there in O'Keene moments ago. That's for the storm that we have here. But this storm, wow, look at that. I mean, that is continuing to get stronger. This is east of O'Keene. That's going to be rain wrapped. Yeah, that's rain wrapped. That is definitely rain wrapped. Let's see here. Let's look at the view from Sky 5, if we can, near Parvin and Lacey. Again, near Parvin and Lacey, really watching this one closely as it is moving up to the northeast here. But let's see, up in the air, the tornado is going to be up inside of this. Again, looking from Sky 5 here, just moving to the east. But this storm is definitely taking off here as it's continuing to move into stronger low-level winds that can really, really allow this storm to really ramp up here. And so definitely very concerned about this storm. And again, there's a tornado. Hey, tell Chase to go back to the left. Tell Francisco just to pan over to the left just a little bit. There's a tornado right there. Let me see. Hey, Chase, what we see looks it looks at least like a pretty well pronounced tornado from our vantage point, but you have a different view on this. Chase, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, there for a second, it really looked pronounced. It looked like a wedge coming down to the ground. I'm not quite sure if it's just a dark shaft of rain, but we're going to keep an eye right here in this center spot where we've got the camera zoomed in right now because it really looked like there was a tornado right there, Damon.
I definitely saw that there. And again, Chase, that was a very well-pronounced lowering that we had there and definitely that shadow that we had. So Chase is looking up in the air, but what we see from at least from a radar standpoint, this thing's gonna be wrapped up in rain. Lacey, you have to be in your tornado shelter right now, innermost room of your house. Same thing even looking downstream as this storm is picking up, headed towards Hennessy, Bison, Wacomas, even Vance Air Force Base. You're on the northern fringe of this warning, but there's your inflow, that's your ball. This will be rain wrapped. The inflow notch is not that is not that wide, and so that means that you're not going to have a clear shot into this. And so there's your tornado right now. It is going to be about 2 miles east of O'Keene, moving to the east. This is a confirmed tornado warning. As you saw there, our debris signature, our debris drop, as I guess you could call it, is going to be that blue right there. This is just east of O'Keene. Definitely a serious storm that is moving to the east here. So heading out towards Lacey and eventually Wacomas. Okay, we're working a bunch of tornado warnings here, so we're going to come back to this in just a couple seconds. Let's go out to Steve Carano, that he's going to be down on this storm that's going to be south of Canton. Steve, what do you see?
Okay, Damon, it really tightened up and had a little funnel, but it was nowhere near the ground. This is going to be to the northwest of the airport here in Watonga, and that circulation is really becoming really tight. I thought at one time it might have been on the ground. It's trying to wrap up and rain just a little bit. It's trying to occlude. The whole storm is trying to occlude, but this is the spot. If it's going to do it, this is the one that's to the southwest of Chase, and it's following right along the line like we've been watching all afternoon.
Okay, yeah, and so we'll come back to this storm. Let's go back over to the Lacey storm here. Very, very concerned about what we see from a radar vantage point here on this Lacey cell. And so just west of Parvin, that is going to be a well-pronounced, oh my goodness, east of O'Keene. It will be wrapped in rain. And so this thing is going to be tucked up in there inside of a bunch of rain, but it is moving to the east here and headed towards Lacey at about 7:11. Lacey, that's about 10 to 15 minutes from now as it's moving to the east. That is a well-pronounced inflow notch. And what we see from the winds inside of it, the velocity, that is a tight couplet. That right there is very concerning to me as it's continuing to make its way and coming very close eventually towards Vance, Wacomas, Bison, Hennessy. Lacey, though, you're headed into your tornado shelter right now. This is a rain-wrapped tornado that is making its way towards Lacey right now. And look at that couplet. That right there, this is a confirmed tornado warning for northern Kingfisher County here. And that is where it's going to be. So we're about 4 miles east of O'Keene here. This particular couplet is moving away from you, but this is headed right down the road. And you can see here, we're about 8 miles or so away from the community of Lacey, but there is your tornado right there, and still a well-pronounced inflow notch into this storm moving to the east. Sky 5 giving you a bird's eye view, but this thing is going to be wrapped up in rain. It's going to be right here, so nearly impossible to see here. But what we know is what our technology is showing us this evening, and that is a dangerous tornado right there in between Lacey and O'Keene, moving to the east here, and eventually headed towards let's see here, downstream, Hennessy. It's going to come pretty close to Hennessy, if not just north of Hennessy here. So that storm is a serious one. And then also O'Keene, there's another storm that is tornado warned that is going to be right here, that is going to be south of Canton, that is moving back up towards O'Keene. That one is rotating as well, and we have that one surrounded. So we're watching all of these storms right now that are now starting to take off, tapping into the southeasterly winds here, moving to the east. So we have Steve watching this storm. There's Buck, there's Chris. We have Nick Smith watching the cells all the way down to the southeast as well. And then we have this tornado warning that is going to be west of Lacey. So tracking this storm to the east here, this may stay just south of O'Keene, but Omega, Loyal, Alpha, 736, 744, 747. Let's go back up into Lacey here. Let's get an update from Sky 5. He's flying. He's looking right into this. Chase, I know the velocity is very tight, but the visibility is as poor as it can get. What do you see here, Chase?
That's right, Damon. We're looking right into a rain-wrapped tornado area, and we're really kind of looking for some power flashes. I know we've seen a lot of lightning flashes. Haven't seen those typical power flashes that we normally see when the tornado's doing some damage. You can see where this tornado is tracking, but it's huge. It's massive. If we even try to zoom out, I don't think we can get the entire storm in the shot. And it's really, there's an incredible inflow right now, Damon. So it's kind of pulling us towards the storm. I know my mom doesn't like to hear that. But if we're looking right here at that dark area, that's where we believe that tornado is, and it's rain wrapped. It's inside there, very difficult to see. We're going to keep a really close eye on this area right here, Damon.
And it looks like in the last couple of radar scans here, it may appear again, because looking at the radar couplet, it's definitely starting to have a little bit more of an inflow into it. So this can happen, but looking at an inflow or looking at a radar, look at that hook right there. And so what we're looking at, see that blue that Jonathan has highlighted? If we start to see a blue pixel there pop up from our debris tracker, that easily confirms that it's a tornado. This is very close to Lacey here, moving to the east here, and then also watching that cell right there that is going to be west of Hitchcock here, north of Watonga. So all of these storms are now beginning to see that low-level jet here really begin to increase their rotation. And so as we look at all of these storms, all of these are really taking off, even these that we have down by Putnam where we have Buck, Chris, and Nick Smith right now. So there's a lot that's really starting to take off. It kind of feels like we have reached a point here where the threat levels are really ramping up. Jonathan, what do you see?
I have concerns about the Watonga storm that Steve is on. Everything I see on radar is telling me this storm is really ramping up, and I know Steve is kind of flanking it. That's kind of a hard area to get around because that's where Romano State Park is. There's a lot of winds in the road as you go from Watonga up to Hitchcock, but it visually, on radar, has a very strong signature. I have some products that I use on the side that I don't show on air, and a product it's called normalized rotation, and there's a really tight area rotation. I've circled it on the radar there, and that's going to be literally, Steve's in a really good spot. It's going to be about 3 miles to his northwest, but it's moving east, and so Steve, as he comes along and kind of doglegs through that area, when he makes the final turn north to Hitchcock, and he looks back to the northwest, we'll have some really good structure up in there. And Damon, the storm that Sky 5 is on, a couple things. It's a rain-wrapped tornado. Sky 5, if look at the inflow too, here's what I don't like is, so I circled the circulation, which is going to be 2 miles northwest of Lacey, the inflow into it, and I've heard Chase say, oh, we're getting pulled in the storm. That tells me the storm is pulling in, and it's pulsing, and my concern is that this is going to produce another area rotation, another tornado just to the north of Lacey, and that's going to move towards Bison. I know Michael Armstrong is near Wacomas, and it's coming at him. He knows what he's doing, but I know Michael's listening. But Michael, that's a really tight area or strong area rotation coming your way, Mike.
Yeah, and watching that, I mean, Lacey, this thing is just knocking on the doorsteps on the west side of town. So Lacey really wants you in your tornado shelter right now, and even for the community of Bison, that is going to be north of Hennessy. But this is a pretty significant radar couplet, and as we mentioned before, the storm has been exhibiting, it's been showing signs of rotation there for a bit, and then right when we hit about 6:45, things really took off, and it feels like a lot of our storms may start to do that. Real quick, Jonathan, let's just pull on out, show the big picture as far as what's happening here. So tornado warning here north of Kremlin. That storm, let's just get an update on this cell real quick just to see what's going on with this storm that's going to be up in northern Garfield County. We have Derek on this storm right now, and it's not rotating nearly as tight, but it's there. I mean, you can definitely see it right now, that inflow that's coming. Let's check in with Derek real quick. Derek, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, the rotation's definitely not what it was. Now, the storm has kind of been ingesting these little showers that have gone up out in front of it. Sometimes that'll cause a temporary weakness, but then a lot of times they'll actually intensify more after that. So we've kind of been waiting on that to happen. We did have some nickel, maybe quarter-size hail in Pond Creek, but overall, really, the storm is not nearly as strong as it was, say, about 20 or 30 minutes ago. But we're continuing to track it off to the east here, and we'll let you know if anything changes. Back to you.
Okay, we know you're going to continue to watch that one real closely. Again, this is going to be the tornado warning that we have ongoing right now up in Jefferson and Pond Creek, and that is going to be down by the Kremlin area. Let's go out to Shane Helton right now. Shane, what do you see?
Damon, we're pretty much watching the same storm. We're actually just east of Pond Creek, and you can see that there's some scud clouds here that kind of look like funnels, but as of right now, they haven't really done a whole lot. We're keeping a real close eye on them. There's another area also, though, up by Medford that we've been watching real closely. It looks like it's been making a lot of funnels, too. However, it's just not when you look at the radar, it's nothing near like what we're watching over the Pond Creek area. But we're keeping an eye on it. If anything happens, we will definitely be hollering at you. Back to you, David.
Okay, we know that you will here. So southeasterly winds are really picking up. Let's go back down to our just line of tornado warnings that we now have taken off here that are going to be down from down towards O'Keene. And as you make your way basically down, all the way down towards Elk City. So here's Lacey right now, and still watching that couplet. Sky 5 is looking right into this. I mean, this would be pretty strong here, about just a mile or two north of Lacey. So there's Sky 5. Here's Storm Command. Both of them looking into this. This is still going to be tucked up in rain. Let's go out to Michael Armstrong. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, no visibility on the tornado. If it is there, obviously a very, very significant radar couplet. This is one of the things where our investment in radar and the radar technology that's developed over the years is so helpful because we can pinpoint even where the tornado's at, even if we can't see it visually. But I do believe if we stay right over here near Bison, Damon, we will potentially have a view of a large tornado here coming at us, and we'll have to meander around it because the roads here are not good. It's raining a lot. It would be easy to get stuck. So we're going to probably have a very short-term view of it, and then we'll move back around again east of it and try to get another view here a little later on. Kyle, I want to find a place to stop up here once we get closer to Bison.
Okay, we're gonna be watching this storm as it's making a run up towards Bison here. So let's go back over to the radar. Bison 733. Let's go out to Sky 5. Chase, we see these strong winds getting pulled into the storm. Rotation near Lacey. Chase, what do you see up in the air?
Yeah, Damon, we're looking right back to the northwest towards Lacey, and I'm looking underneath me, and I'm looking at those tall fields. That wind is really, like you said, that inflow is really strong, pushing us towards the northwest, and so that's really feeding the storm. We keep zooming in. There's a dark area right there that was a little bit of a lowering, but it doesn't look like it's too close to the ground. It doesn't look like it has enough structure to it to be able to have enough rotation to touch the ground. But if there's anything in there, and I know that there is something in there, it is definitely rain wrapped and it's tucked back in there. But we continue to watch this because if there's any damage out there from those tornadoes that move through there, and I know you were seeing a lot of that on radar, we're going to definitely be able to see it from up here in Sky 5. But still a lot of lightning in this storm, Damon. It's far from over.
Yeah, it definitely is far from over, and still watching these storms because also watching another cell that is just southwest of this that is really pushing out some pretty strong winds, and that's where we have Steve Carano. As a matter of fact, here's your area of spin that is north of Watonga, right where Steve is. Let's go out to Steve. Steve, what do you see from your vantage point?
Okay, I'm in Hitchcock, Damon, and this storm means business. It looks like it might be becoming a little bit more outflow dominated, especially on the south side. So the circulation would be, I'm getting wrapped up in rain here just a little bit, but the circulation, you see my lightning strikes there to the right of the screen there, and that's Hitchcock, a water tower. And so the circulation would be just right about here. And so we're getting a west wind here, and it is rocking. And so this may be outflow on this side of the storm, and this would be moving into the north side of Hitchcock right now.
So, yeah, and we can definitely see that strong surge of winds that's coming in with this. And so, Steve, you're looking right into this. We're going to keep in close contact with you on Steve. Again, here's some strong winds that are just surging right into Hitchcock here. Yeah, that definitely looks like the winds on the backside of the storm here surging out. So we're going to be watching this one here and see if anything can begin to pick back up and begin to rotate. But right now, at 7:09, this storm is a big one right now. And so Storm Command is down by Bison. Look at that couplet right there, northeast of Lacey. That is your rotating segment right there, just northeast of Lacey. And this is going up to the northeast. That would be debris right there, that little minimum, that little drop in the radar. And so Definitely, at least there's some debris in there. That's what has triggered this to be confirmed tornado. But look at that couplet. I mean, that right there would be your tornado. And so this is now crossing into southern Garfield County. And so what do you see, Jonathan?
I think that's the old meso that I just circled. That's old circulation. There's a new area of circulation forming. There may be a new area to watch right up in here. So gonna have to watch that. That happens. The old mesos get pulled in, then you get a new one that forms, and Sky 5 is right there. And so we're gonna have to watch the upper left-hand corner is the old circulation, rain wrap tornado, new area of circulation forming, strong inflow notch right in here too. So let's watch this area now west of Hennessy. Sky 5's right there, and you can see them kind of panning back and forth, and it's real dirty.
Yeah.
It's a real gungy rain wrap circulation, but let's keep on watching it.
By the way, speaking of watching, something I just noticed Jonathan's pulling out here. Let's go all the way out there. I think where Nick Smith is. And so this storm, if you hit it with velocity right here, this thing is starting to rotate. And so really concerned about what we're seeing here just north of Butler. Let's go out to Nick right now. Nick, we've been watching these tail end storms here, and I know you've been keeping a close eye on them as well. Nick, what do you see out on your cell?
Yeah, so right now I'm sitting on Highway 73. I'm just back off to the, I guess you'd say southwest of Stafford, and we're watching that area of rotation. It was very, very clear. It was out in the clear like probably about 5 minutes ago. It's back up tucked into the rain now, and so we're having to just kind of watch it. We're trying to get close enough to see it, but far enough away to be safe. So as of right now, we've seen a few funnels that out of the storm, but nothing that's too crazy. But Damon, there's an area that, I mean, it's definitely spinning hard, just right off the. I mean, really right off the ground, like just a couple hundred feet up off the ground. Back to you.
And so, Nick, looking at your storm, once your storm makes a run towards Hinton, it is going to encounter winds that are going to really begin to increase that rotation. So, Nick, you're in the spot. We'll come back to you. Let's go back over to the radar here. Let's get a check on up towards Lacey. And as we go just southwest of Hennessy on this tornado warning, and we'll get a check back in with Storm Command because this storm is still rotating. And Michael, we see you just a few miles away from this couplet. Now, Michael, look, I know that this thing is going to be wrapped up in rain, but this tornado warning looks pretty significant. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Yeah, so you're starting to see it through the rain now. We're starting to get a view. Kyle, we might be able to even. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of navigation here. We're playing chicken with this, Damon. And here's the thing. We're just going to turn around and go straight north up the highway. We'll put our 360 cam backwards, and we'll be able to track it. We have fantastic technology. I've got my trained eyes. We're going to be safe here. I'm just letting everybody know we're going to be safe.
Okay, Michael, we'll come back to you. And so we're going to be watching that one as well. By the way, tornado warning. We have a bunch of tornado warnings that are now coming out. So brand new tornado warning, by the way, issued for where we have Derek Klein and then also Shane Helton. And so let's go out to Derek real quick. Derek, brand new tornado warning for your cell. That is going to be south of Medford, inflow coming in just east of Pond Creek. Derek, what do you see?
It definitely ticked up a couple notches. Last update, I said it was ingesting some showers. It did that. We noticed actually the sound of hail thunder. If anybody hasn't heard that, sounds kind of like a jet engine up in the storm, usually a sign of intensification. We also noticed a lot of lightning, but the scud has really dropped down and the base has gotten a little bit lower here. No tornado right now, but the storm is better looking than it was 5 minutes ago. So it's definitely worth they continue to watch here. You can see it in my shot right there with the sunset in the background there. And I mean, we're here watching it. If something touches down, we're going to see it right here where we're at. But definitely the rotation and the lowering has gotten better organized. Back to you.
Okay, and we're just bouncing all across the state now with these tornado warnings. So we'll come back to this storm in just a little bit. Let's go back down to Lacey. Again, this storm is making its way up towards Ponca City, K County. We'll come back to you. This still looks very well pronounced. And I tell you, oh my goodness, there's going to be some pretty strong winds that are going to be up inside of this here. And so let's see here. There's Michael in Bison. Sky 5 is going to be south of Hennessy. And so this storm is rotating and it's really picking up here. Let me go out to Storm Command right now. Michael, watching your storm, looks like you're getting ready to come back into the kind of the clear side into this. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command? Okay, we'll come back out to Michael here in just a moment. This is the storm, by the way. So you can see, I mean, you're starting to see a bit of that clearing, and so getting a better visual into the storm. Again, this picture coming in from Storm Command. And so let's see here. If Michael can hear me. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Well, this is a huge lowering right now. This is the wall cloud. Damon, it is possible that the tornado is actually tucked back in right behind that rain right now. This is a very, very dangerous rain-wrapped circulation right now. You have to be in your tornado shelter if you live anywhere between Bison and Hennessy right now. You just have to expect that right there is producing a tornado. I know I can't show it to you, but I am begging and pleading with you. If you live between Bison and Hennessy, this is a very, very dangerous situation as this circulation approaches Highway 81.
It is a very dangerous storm, and so we're watching this one again, kind of in a bit of a different view. Michael's looking from the northeast down to the southwest, but from a velocity standpoint, that is a very tight couplet that is going to be very close to where Michael is in this storm. And so Michael's about 6 miles away. This storm moving to the east here. And so inside this tornado warning, this is a confirmed tornado warning. And so this is a serious cell right here. Again, we're about 6 miles away from Storm Command. Looking into the Sky 5 is up in the air, by the way, with this. We'll come back to this in just a second. Let's go down to the other tornado warning that we have just south of this, because it looks like the couplet there is it's there just south of O'Keene. And so definitely not as tight as this one, but definitely one that we still got to watch. Let me go out to Steve. Steve, how's the storm look from your vantage point?
All right, Damon. We are on a county road going towards Loyal, and this is a look at the storm that's going to be near O'Keene. This is looking out the left side of our windshield here, or rest on the driver's side, and this is going to be south and east of O'Keene is where the strongest rotation is. And it looks like it's going to continue to move off to the east-northeast. I have not seen any funnels with this. I've seen some tags coming out. If it's going to come out anywhere, it's going to come out right there where I'm zooming in. Okay, and it's kind of it is trying, and there is the circulation right there. But off to our back and west into the south, that is outflow that's trying to spin that bad boy up right now. We went through the outflow and a little bit of an RFD and wrap around, and if it's going to do it, it's going to do it right there in the southeast of O'Keene.
Okay, we're watching your picture, and again, we still have some sunlight. Even though the sun is beginning to set, we still have some daylight here. But the tornado risk is really not going to peak for about another 90 minutes. It's not going to enter that peak window for about another 90 minutes or so. Sky 5 is up in the air on this storm right here. Definitely, I mean, you can definitely see the inflow, definitely some strong winds here surging out, but you can see the strong winds getting pulled into it. So right now, we are northeast of Lacey. Hennessy, the strong winds that you have blowing right over town right now are getting pulled into this storm just west of Bison. Look at that hole. That is there debris inside that? Let's see if we have a, not yet.
Not yet, but Damon, that's a really strong signature. That's a very dangerous storm.
Yeah, seeing that hole right there on the radar.
That's gate to gate, and it's not only a very strong wide circulation, it's a tight circulation.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah, let's go out to Michael. Michael, we see what looks like a hole in the radar just west of you, Michael. What do you see?
Yeah, so here, what I'm going to show you, this is what we call the river as far as storm chasers go. You're seeing a river of inflow. Look at it. It's coming straight from north to south directly into the tornadic circulation, which is embedded in rain and hail right there. Look at that green sky. That is, I don't know. There's flashes in there. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's be lightning. We've had some powerful cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, but it's so wild to look at that and go, man, you have to expect there's a tornado in there, even though I can't see a visual condensation funnel, but this is a massive circulation just southwest of Bison.
Yeah, let's go up to Sky 5 right now. And Michael, your analysis there really helps us out. You can just see the air getting pulled into this. Chase Rutledge, let's go out to you right now. Chase, definitely a very tight couplet in what would most likely be a pretty significant tornado up inside the storm. Chase, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, we're trying to look back in there, but look at all the rain underneath this. We are actually moving our shot up to the top, as far as to the top of this storm as we can see. There's a lot of activity as far as lightning, cloud to cloud, cloud to ground, up in the storm. As we take a look way up into the sky, you can see how much lightning is down in there. Now, if we go back down to the left, I want to show you just to the left a little bit more. That's Hennessy. So to the right, back up in that rain, that's where we're starting to see that rotation and that coupling that you're talking about, and that's where Michael Armstrong is. We don't see any power flashes, Damon. We're looking for those, but the inflow is tremendous. We're seeing a lot of that. We're feeling it out here in Sky 5, and the ground, you can see that wind moving across the ground, making its way into the storm and just feeding it, Damon.
And we see that. And so we're going to come back to this storm. Let's go up into Kay County real quick. I know the tornado sirens are sounding right now up in Blackwell. Just want to give everyone an update on these storms. And so Blackwell, this storm that is where Derek and we have Shane on right now is moving to the east. Your rotation is going to be very close to the community of Lamont. That's exactly where Derek is. And so looking at his stream right now, nothing on the ground, but he's continuing to watch this for y'all. That is going to be up from Blackwell and in towards Tonkawa. So right now, again, update on this storm, as you can see, just near Blackwell, west of Lamont, southwest of Deer Creek. Derek is watching this. Let me go out to Derek real quick. Derek, how's your storm look from your vantage point?
Yeah, Damon. So the storm had that uptick just a few minutes ago. It's kind of ticked back down again, which has really been the history of this. It had a peak a little earlier ago where it did produce a weak tornado, but really has just kind of been up and down with it. So we're continuing to watch it here. It'll get kind of scuddy and again, increase that rotation just a little bit. The lightning will increase, but as of right now, we're on probably the downward tick. But again, most likely, I'm sure it's going to try to tick back up again. I can still see really, really good inflow in all levels of the storm. Everything is here for this storm to produce tornadoes. So we're going to continue to watch it here. We're actually driving right into the town of Lamont right now. And it looks like the rotation might go just to the north of Lamont. It's going to be really close. So we'll continue to watch it. Back to you.
All right, Derek, be safe on this one. Okay, let's go back down to Sky 5. We'll go back down to Sky 5 with a brand new tornado warning that's coming out. Wow. Holy cow. Sky 5 is showing a bunch of light. Let's go to Sky 5 full right now. Chase, are you seeing power flashes in here? Is this all lightning?
Damon, I'm pretty sure that is all lightning. But again, if there are power flashes back up in there, we're not going to be able to see them because of how much rain. But if we zoom in just a little bit more, I think what we're seeing is a lot of inflow. So all of that white there along the ground, I know a lot of it's rain, but a lot of it, when we zoomed in earlier, we saw that it was actually inflow being pulled into that storm. As we zoom back out just a little bit more, right in there, that's where you're looking, where that notch is and where Michael Armstrong is. So that's the leading edge of the storm there to the right. A lot of flashes in there. Some of those might be power flashes, but it's just really almost impossible to tell from up here, Damon.
And Chase, I tell you what we see from a radar is a very tight couplet, and a brand new tornado warning has just been issued for this storm that you were on here, Chase. And so again, this is really going to be a big concern for all of us. I mean, this storm is really, really strengthening and slowing down. It is slowing down, and Michael's looking right into this. Michael, this storm has really slowed down here in the last couple of scans here. But if you're in the community of Bison, in your tornado shelter, Michael, slower speed, looks like it would be a strengthening storm here. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
Well, it's leapfrogging, so it'll kind of stop and anchor for just a second. We're going left. Just see the winds on the pavement here. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Okay, Michael, there. Show it. Okay, what do you see happening here? Go, Michael. We kind of lost you a bit, but come back. What do you see, Michael?
This is a bad cell area.
Okay, we'll come back to Michael here in just a moment. But again, this is a powerful storm that is making its way toward the community of Bison right now, near the community of Bison. And so, Michael, we see this storm, and that tornado is going to be just west of you. Michael, what we see up in the air is a bunch of flashes right now. Chase telling us it's probably mostly going to be lightning, could be some power flashes, but whatever the storm is doing right now, it is wrapped up in rain, and that is a very tight couplet right here that is going to be south of Wacomas, but the community of Bison is right in the path of this. Michael, what's the situation right now in Bison? What do you see? Okay, we'll get back to Michael here in just a bit. Jonathan, what do you see from the radar?
Here's the deal. This is the strongest circulation I have yet to see this evening with the Doppler side. That is the wind side of radar. Michael is right there. He's probably got his hands full. He knows what he's doing, but he's in a close intercept with a rain-wrapped tornado. Now, Sky 5 is looking at it, and I can see on Sky 5 he's got a lot of lightning, but unfortunately Chase may not be able to see it. He can't fly up into that notch, so he's shooting through about 3 miles of precipitation. He just can't see it. Look who's literally in the notch, and that's Michael. The velocities are strong. They're increasing. I would say Bison, this is a very significant storm. Occasionally I'll toggle over to our debris signature. I don't see anything okay, Mike, go to Michael. He's got a tornado.
Michael, what do you have?
I have a tornado right now. It's a very thin funnel. Tornado is very near Bison. You can see it on my 360 camera pointed backwards.
We see
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, we see it, Michael. Keep going. Yeah, we have it here.
Okay, this is a small needle-type funnel, but it is associated with this more powerful circulation. And guys, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg on what this storm can do. There was a bright flash. We're looking directly south down Highway 81 on my 360 camera. We're looking backwards, so we are facing due south. This is a view that we've all been waiting to get. It's just the road network, Sky 5. I know we're all kind of blocked from the rain. Damon, this is so incredibly dangerous. Look at the rotation in the clouds. In my shot right now, look at the rising motion up above, just to the left of the grain bin, basically right over top of 81. This is just, oh my gosh, I can't tell. That's very dark right there.
Michael, we're on your shot right here. Michael, does this look like a tornado? You have a better visual of it, but it is dark and it looks like it's all the way down to the ground. What do you see here?
Well, it's hard to tell if it's rain. I can't tell for sure. We definitely saw the one funnel for sure, but it was like a smaller funnel. But I will tell you, this is extreme. I want you to look at the inflow into it. Gosh. Okay. Here's an idea. We're sitting still and look at my wind instrument. Whoa. Oh, man. This has got some major, major inflow moving right in over Bison. That is extreme wind. There very well may be wind damage in Bison associated from inflow, even if they don't get hit directly by the tornado. But I got to tell you, it's pretty much going to move. I don't know. The center of it looks like it may move right over Bison. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely incredible right now.
Michael, and so just a heads up, we're going to stay with your shot because if there's a tornado here, we're seeing if it crosses over the road, but we can definitely see there are strong winds that are getting pulled into the storm here. And so Michael's just north of the town of Bison, and you can see the visibility is really starting to go down here as the heavy rain is just coming in and the winds are picking up. Michael, how strong are the winds where you are right now?
All right, Damon, I just have to estimate right now. I've got a problem with my anemometer at the moment. If they're any less than 60 to 70, I would be shocked. This is a very, very strong inflow. This is that river I was telling you about just a moment ago. Oh, hang on. That's the grain bin at Bison that I'm looking at. I was wondering if that dark spot was possibly a tornado. We are just taking some incredible wind right now into the circulation.
Yeah, and Michael, your picture, it is crystal clear. We can hear you well. Watching this tornado that would be crossing right over this area, right over the highway here. Again, Michael is going to be near the town, right in the town of Bison, right along 81. And we already had that one tornado. It's pretty thin, but you saw it there. But that can usually be little thin, kind of just smaller tornadoes wrapping around a much larger one. But what we see from a radar standpoint, wow, that's getting worse and worse. Michael, what we see from our couplet, what do you see, Michael? What we see from a radar standpoint, the couplet is very strong. Michael, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, our winds have shifted now. We are north of the tornado, or at least the tornadic circulation. I don't know. There may just be a large mesocyclone, basically, trying to come to the ground at this point. But we clearly saw the tornado a little bit ago. I'm looking straight south. Yeah, that was a power flash. That it may be going through the power lines right there. Oh goodness! That's out of my dash cam. That's coming out of the front. Look at the wind flowing into it. It's coming from northwest to southeast. We're going to get blasted with hail now in the inflow that's screaming into that tornadic circulation straight behind us. We can't see it. We shot it in rain now. That was our one chance to even have any type of visual on it. We're going to try to get out ahead of the storm again, but this is insane.
Michael, what we're seeing right now from your picture from Storm Command looks absolutely just wild. I mean, that is, his windshield wipers are going as fast as they can go. Hardly any visibility, but that velocity couplet, look at that. That tornado would be wrapped up in rain, and I mean, it would be nearly impossible to see. So Sky 5 is up in the air right now. Let me go out to Chase. Chase, just got a report there from Michael, and he's up inside this thing, and so getting some power flashes. But Chase, what are you seeing up in the air right now?
Yeah, Damon, we're trying to maneuver just to get good shots up here. That inflow just keeps pulling us closer and closer to the storm, so we have to fly away from it. This is that area that Michael's looking at right here. I can't tell if there are power flashes. I know some of those probably are, but there's a lot of lightning associated with this. That inflow is still very, very strong. This storm is far from being over. And Damon, as we zoom out just a little bit, it's still green. Look at all that lightning. Man, this thing is really, really active, and it is dynamically forming. So we're going to keep an eye on this. I know Michael's on the ground, and Damon, if it produces anything, we'll try to see it as best we can from up here in Sky 5.
Okay, let's go back out to Michael. Michael, what do you have?
Yeah, sorry, Damon. Very hard to hear you right now. We're taking some pretty big hailstones right now in Storm Command as we're trying to move back north into the core so that we stay safe from the tornadoes. So it's kind of pick your poison. Either you get the wind and the hail, or you get the tornado at this point. And we can't take on a tornadic circulation like that. So we're going to move north up here, and then hopefully east over toward Douglas and the Covington area as soon as we get an opportunity. And we'll try to do basically the same thing to confirm whether that tornado's on the ground or not, like what we saw earlier when we saw that tornado develop right near Bison. But we are taking some very large hailstones north of Bison. So please continue to shelter in place in Bison. I would not come out of the shelter yet. Douglas, it's going to be, we'll have to see. So in order for it to hit Douglas, it's going to have to go about 3 more miles to the north, and we'll have to see on its trajectory if it moves due east or if it goes east-northeast. Right now, it looks like it's moving east-northeast directly toward the community of Douglas. That would not be good. It would be much better if it could pass just a couple miles south of Douglas. We are getting slammed with hail right now.
Michael, how big is the hail?
Damon, I have no idea right now. There's no way to tell. It's large.
Yeah, we're looking behind, and we can see your satellite dish here, and so we're looking to the behind. Again, Michael is up inside of this storm, and that is a bad situation right there. And so once again, it's all wrapped up in rain, absolutely wrapped up in rain east of Bison. So by the way, we'll come back to this in just a few moments. Let's go back up to K County, get an update, and then we'll show you the storms that we're also watching out across western Oklahoma, because these storms are all moving to the east here. And so watching these from Tonkawa up towards Bremen, strong pocket of winds right now near near Deer Creek, and then still finding a rotating cell right there down by Lamont. Again, watching it close to Lamont. So Derek and Shane are on this storm. So this tornado warning remains as it's making its way to the east. Definitely looks like in the last couple of scans, probably getting some pretty strong winds that are now just on the south side of Deer Creek and moving to the east here. Again, Shane and Derek are watching this storm. Okay, down to the southwest, by the way, we have a bunch of storms that are developing right now all the way out to the southwest here. They just extend all the way down from basically east of Elk City down by Weatherford. So there's Chris, there's Nick. And so as these storms move to the east, they're moving into the high risk area. We're going to be watching these ones really, really closely for an increasing tornado threat. What's the latest? Okay, we'll go out to Chris Lee. Chris Lee, we see you down on the southern flank here, down by Clinton. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, between Clinton and Arapahoe, just to on the south side of Arapahoe, we're watching the cloud, this inflow area, have seen quite a bit of rotation at the cloud base. Nothing close to the ground yet, but there's certainly a lot of rotation in the clouds. This storm is spinning, as most of them have today. So we're watching as it looks a little more interesting on radar, too. It looks like it's developing a little hook there on the back of the storm. So this, as you said, moving into a little better environment, picked up a little bit of small hail when we came through the storm from the north, but we're watching this area as it moves between Clinton and Arapahoe right now, and we'll be following it to the east as it tracks north of I-40. Damon?
All right, so Chris, you and Nick, they're putting a tornado warning. National Weather Service is going to issue a tornado warning on this storm. So I know you all have been on the southern flank of this, but look, the way that our chasers are positioned today, we have them in the spots that you need to help plan. And so watching this for Clinton, Nick, and Chris are keeping a close eye. New tornado warning coming out. We'll come back to this storm. We have to go back up to this other cell here that is going to be where Sky 5 and Storm Command are going to be on here, because this storm still looks very significant right there. Let me go out to Michael. Michael, I know you have all the technology in Storm Command. Have you heard of any damage along the path of this storm yet?
No, not at this time.
So you're pulling out of the storm now here. Michael, what do you see from a radar standpoint?
Yeah, sorry, Damon, we're going to have to do some navigation. Give me.
Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Again, Michael, you and Kyle's safety is number one. Let's go back down to Clinton, down to where Nick Smith is going to be on this brand new tornado warning that was just issued just moments ago. And so this one's going to be coming out here. Let's see, it hasn't popped up on the radar yet. Hey, Nick, so you've been watching these storms on the southern flank. Nick, one thing I want you to be aware of is that you are on the southern side of this where there's nothing obstructing the inflow into the storm. Nick, the sun is setting. The tornado potential with this storm is increasing rapidly for you. Nick, what do you see from your vantage point?
Yeah, so Damon, we're sitting on I-40 and just on the east side of Clinton, or just to the east of Clinton. And this thing, honestly, Damon, it is the inflow is increasing. Like I've been standing halfway outside of the vehicle just watching it, and I'm just seeing it rock the vehicle even more. We had a second ago where we had the inflow had increased. We got a nice little funnel, like a good shape or good sized funnel coming down, but it didn't. It had dissipated. That's a great thing, but we're still watching areas of persistence, the persistent rotation happening. So we're going to continue to watch this, but this thing is really, it's wound up. Chris was talking about how much rotation is in the clouds. It is unbelievable how massive and how wide the rotation is within this meso.